Hello and welcome to episode 93 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey, and joined with me, as always, is the fine wine himself, Mr. Philip Hoy.
And it's been forever and a day since we've recorded, boys. It has been absolutely ages. We've had a couple of weeks off, haven't we? But it's good to be back.
It is damn good to be back. And speaking of back, and I can't believe it, the king himself joins us today, Spencer Davis, the champion of episode 92, the Big Quiz 9. How the devil are you, my king?
I'm
my
good,
liege.
mate. I'm fucking good. I want to hear more of that this episode. However, to be fair, let's be honest. Do I deserve the crown? Well, I have it. So, who fucking cares? Under my decree, no one fucking cares. It's mine, baby. I'm fucking good, mate.
There was rumours on the street, and I'm glad that you've put this as an official decree, so it makes sure that those angry mobs are quiet now at this point. But there was rumours on the street that because you were such a bitch, not my words, this is the street now, because you were such a bitch and didn't take your shots, that if you had had shots, things may have gone a different way. They might have gone to myself and Phil. And I see what the streets are saying. You know, I listened to the episode back, and there's times where I'm screaming at myself saying, how didn't I get that? You know, but I looked at myself and I thought, do you know what? I did my 10 shots. You know, I don't have 8 still left over carried forward to the next quiz. But that's, you know, the streets, the king's put his first rule down on here, and we're not going to mention it. It wasn't a robbery. It was, yeah, it's just been officially decreed as absolutely fine, and no one's got a problem with it whatsoever. Do they, Phil?
Well, I've kind of got a problem with it, and I'm hoping Spence is
Whoa.
going to do these shots at some point. I hope we're not rolling them over to the next episode or the next, big quiz. Are we? Episode 100?
I would
Surely
say,
not. Surely not, Spence. You should be doing them tonight, shouldn't you?
I wouldn't
Come on,
say tonight.
the streets have been talking. Davey's been listening to the streets. He's out there.
There's no shots to be had tonight. I don't have any. So unless you want to, wait half hour and we start recording even later, then no way. But I don't think they should be rolled over because that's a peak episode 100. I think I just have to do them before we get there.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think you should do them before we get to episode 100 because episode 100 is going to be a big one anyway, and it should be our biggest show, shouldn't it? Because it's a milestone for us to get to episode 100. Who would have thought we'd get that far? I didn't.
Who would have thought? Not me.
No.
Not me. And here we are. We're on the eve. But yeah, we got to think of something, and there's got to be some proper punishment for somebody decides to game it and not do their shots, because otherwise that would just be the tactic all the time. Nobody would do it. And then you just walk away a guaranteed win, right? Because everyone else is absolutely munted. We've got to figure out some kind of challenge. And audience, I want your participation on this. Obviously, it won't count for Spence now. We're setting the benchmark now. You know, we're always building on past rules, and this is going to be another one. Think of a forfeit. I'm thinking of something horrific, like you got to go out into the streets with like bollock naked,
Cock out,
with
yeah.
a sign on or something, like just in your pants, something,
Shame.
and you've got to,
Shame.
yeah, like, and everyone's like, shame, like ringing a bell, and you got to walk through like the center of Cambran or whatever, and we film it, like something like that. There's got to be something so that nobody wants to do it, and everyone's like, yeah, I'll do my shots now, you know. And even if they leave one left over, it doesn't matter, one or all of them, you've got to do something fucking horrific. But audience, give me your suggestions right in psvtrust@gmail.com. And from this kind of long intro for not even the start of the show, this is episode 93 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. Some say the sexiest goddamn podcast on the internet. And well, audience, what have we got in store for you today? Well, the usual. We got the run of the show in terms of, I'm going to give the guys a question to kick things off, to get, the lips all moving, slapping around properly with those nice little noises that you guys make. Then we're going to move it into what we've been playing. Quick news, which is a big quick news for us today. We got 3 things each we're going to run through. And then we're going to end the show with a topic of the show, which is a listener question. Lots of exciting things to go through today. But first, before we get into any of that stuff, guys, I got a question for you, right? Now, I'm going to give you a bit of background for this, and I'll kind of bring it all in, all right? So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. So this last week, I don't know what's happened to me, but I've been having bad dreams, like all week. And normally you can have like, I'll go ages with no dreams. And then all of a sudden, I'll get like a slattering of really good ones. You know, generally going Super Saiyan or something like that, right? Generally, Super Saiyan is a good dream. But this week, it's just sucked. It's been horrific. And I want to tell you about some of these bad dreams, right? Because this is going to be therapy for me. And these fucking sucked. So the one dream, right? You guys were all in it. So it was everyone that I'm like close with. We were at a party. So it's like my family, there's you guys there. It's like all our mates, my girlfriend's there, my son. All at this house party around mine. And we're all having a great
this
time.
house party.
Yeah, but it's like you know, like a big family
It's a
event,
family
like
gathering more than a...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But we were all drinking and having a good time. I don't know what their celebration was for. But we're all having a great time, loving it, drinking. All of a sudden, a fucking nuke goes off. Right? Annihilates the entire house. Everyone, I look around the room and everyone gets dusted like it's the fucking Avengers. Like everyone. I see my son get dusted. I see you guys get dusted. Everyone. And at that point, I realize that I'm the only one alive and that I'm like immortal. And I was like, no! Like everyone I love is dead in one fell swoop. And you think, oh, maybe there's a shining light from this that, like, I don't know, I'm indestructible or whatever. No, it was just, I woke up, I was like, that was fucking terrifying, right? Like, that's the worst thing ever. Like, seeing your kid get dusted in front of you. And you might think, oh, well, this is the beginning of my fucking supervillain origin arc, right? Like, one of those Resident Evil films where that guy drops a bomb on his wedding and he survives it. Maybe this is the start of that. But I didn't get to sleep long enough to be able to enjoy what would eventually come, you know? So it was just horrific. The second dream, this one, it's quite funny really, but it's fucked. So I had this dream where I'm at an orgy, right? And like my missus is at the orgy, and I'm like, I don't like this at all. And it's going. Like it's going on. And I'm like there, I'm like, I fucking hate this. And that sucked. And I woke up, I was like, oh, I don't like that dream. So it wasn't like horrific, but I was like, oh, that was horrible. Like, I don't want to do that. And yeah, but like twice, that's 2 nights back to back. I've had the one dream, everyone dying. Second one, an unwanted orgy that I'm participating in that I don't want to be there for. And see my missus get absolutely railed. And I'm just there like, oh, this kind of just ain't my thing, you know?
Ooh.
Like, it wasn't nice. So that's what's been happening to me this week. God knows what's going to happen tonight when I go to sleep. I might get another weird-ass fucking dream. No logic to it, nothing going on. Just seems to just be happening to me. Now, guys, the question is, what is the worst dream that you think you've ever had? Because the bad ones always stick with you, I think. So, Spence, the king, over to you, my friend.
Sure. So I don't really dream. I very rarely have a dream. I don't think I've had one now. Years. It must be years.
No way.
Since
really?
I've had a dream, yeah. I never dreamed. But when I was a kid, I remember this one nightmare I had. And like you said, it's the one that always sticks in your mind. I must have been like 7, 8, maybe 6. And it was just, I was in like, I guess it looked like the Batcave, but it wasn't the Batcave. And there was this bloke who looked like Vecna from Stranger Things. Or he looked like Red Skull when he's like fully red.
Yeah.
And he was like picking me up and he was like about to torture me or something. And I just start punching him in the fucking face. And every single time I punch him, his face turned into a different person I love. Like a different person, like a friend or a family member. And I just had to keep punching all these people I cherish in my life. I just fucking hope like you drop me. And then I just remember I woke up going like, swinging my arms in the air, still punching when I woke up, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" That was nuts,
wild.
mate. That was a terrifying one for little. That's probably why I don't sleep now, mate. Since then,
probably.
I've had sleeping issues since I was like 6, 7. So that's probably what triggered it, mate. That one nightmare.
Yeah. So, which was the person that you punched in the face that you woke up screaming to? Because there must have been everyone else. You must have been like, "I don't like this," but you know, maybe mum had it coming. There must have been somebody that you woke up screaming to, right? That one blow connected. You thought, "Can't believe I did that." Do you remember?
Those chicken nuggets were burnt. Fuck you, man. No, it was like I think it was my dad first, then my mum, then my sister, then my brother. I got loads of siblings and cousins. It was a lot of people, friends from school. And I don't know. After just all of them, I think you're just like, After I kept punching him, I think it was just him again then, and I seen his face again. I just screamed.
Oh.
So we weren't in the rotation in your dream.
I didn't know
we
you
featured in
lads, mate.
Davy's dream. We featured in his superhero arc, but I don't know if we featured in the orgy. I was going to ask that when it comes around to my turn. But when you were going through punching people's faces, did either of me and Davy come up?
If you did, I wouldn't have recognized you. I was 6 or 7. If you boys were in my life when I was 6 or 7,
that does
that's
make a lot of
strange.
sense.
Yeah, that'd be
Maybe
bit
it was like
weird.
a future dream, like a dragon dream from one of the new Game of Thrones. Have you been watching that? It's really, really good. Watch the first
Not
2
yet.
episodes. Awesome. There's a thing called Dragon Dreams, which predicts the future. Maybe you were doing that.
Who knows, mate? Who knows? I know. Imagine if it was like, if I did see you guys in my dream, I think the first time I saw Davey at Smash would have gone a lot differently. I think I'd have seen him and just started screaming. It's you! And just start punching him in the face, mate.
And the worst thing about it being in a Smash tournament as well is that Smash, say what you will about them, they're known for a lot of noncery in the Smash community. So if some little kid, when you were 16 at the time when we first met, came in screaming,
Yeah.
pointing, saying it's you, I think that at that point people would probably think, actually, hold on, what's
That's
been
the
going on
man
here?
from when I was
That
6.
would be wild.
Oh, God.
Wild. He's just had your face burned into his eyes for that long, and he walks into the tournament. He's like, "Oh my God, it was a dragon dream, and I've dreamt it before Game of Thrones came out." Jesus, I can predict the future. I'm some sort of genius.
Busted.
Oh man, that dream is pretty fucked. To be fair, Phil, what about yourself? Have you got anything up there that haunts you to this day?
Well, I'm the same as Spence, really. I don't think I really dream a lot, and especially bad dreams. I can only really think of good dreams of like success, in my job with the podcast, etc., etc. But there is one dream which I'll touch on in a minute. But let's go back to my original question that I posed to you a little earlier. Did me and Spencer feature in the orgy, or was it just us getting blown to pieces within your dreams?
Just getting blown to pieces. So the orgy, I can't remember anyone's faces. All I remember is that I was in the middle
Just
of
their
getting
cocks.
I was in the middle of getting noshed. No, I was in the middle of getting noshed by this girl that was just, I can't remember what she looked like at all. And I remember just thinking, and then looking over and seeing my missus just getting absolutely double pile drived, and I just thought, this just ain't for me. But it's too late, I'm in that situation. It's like, how do I get out of this? And then also, what if she's loving this? And I'm like hating it.
You're
It's
like,
just fucking
"Love, we gotta
grim.
go," and she's like, "No,
No,
If she
no,
says
no.
no, you're
Let them
that's-
finish. It's like, oh,
bro." You'd start
Within your
crying
dream.
then and there, man. You'd be like, "Oh no."
yeah, it's grim, bro. It's grim.
I think I can go a step further. I think it would be even more grim if it was a dream inside a dream, and you woke up, and then your missus is getting ploughed in your bed by 2 guys, and then you're like,
Oh
and then
my
it just keeps
God.
moving up the dreams.
You never escape.
You never escape. It's a loop.
And then you get
You're in
right
an
to
orgy
the
dream
end.
loop.
You think you're out.
Every
Everyone comes
single
in.
variant, bro. She's getting double teamed.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say, you think you're out, and then I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm back in the nuke dream again. And then all of a sudden, it turns to a mass orgy in the nuke scene. And no, although I'll probably be glad for the nuke to come. Then at that point, it'd be like a saving grace. Release me. Jesus, no. But thank God, no. You guys went in there. That would be a whole new
I
level.
think
of
you'd be
weird.
surprised, mate. What
Phew.
did she have blonde hair? The girl noshing you off.
I can't remember, mate. I can't remember. All I remember is
Mate,
just
it was
the
me in a wig,
fear when I
bro.
woke up.
Tell you now.
Well, you weren't doing a good job. Whoever was doing it, I was not enjoying myself. So maybe
Well,
yeah. You weren't putting your all into it if it was you, but
can't have been
can't
me,
remember.
mate. Can't have been me then.
yeah, that fucking Dyson suck job 9000. No, definitely. So bring it back then, Phil. What's your bad dream? What happened?
Bad dream. Okay. So this one, I remember when I was probably, in my early teens, I would have said. And I remember waking up crying, okay? And maybe this is a dark memory because I dreamt of being pregnant and having a child. in my dream when I was in my early teens. And I remember not wanting it at all, not understanding it, and being like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. What is going on? And almost having a child within my dream, right, as a kid. And I remember ending up downstairs crying to my mum because of it. And my mum, if she ever listens to this podcast, she'll go, yeah, that did happen.
Oh my God. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you didn't give birth then in the dream, but you were carrying the baby, were you?
I think I was giving birth within the dream, and then I ended up waking up crying about it.
That'd wake you up.
Yeah. Because I just did not want to have a child, or did not understand why I was having a child. You know, maybe I watched that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie when I was a kid, and it just like repeated on me.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about? I'm really bad at
yeah.
movies, but maybe I watched that as a kid, and that was maybe the night that I went to sleep, and I imagined being pregnant in my dream, and I absolutely hated it. So,
Oh, well, congrats though, mate. Do you know if it was a boy or a girl?
well, who knows? It didn't come out, did it? It's still in there somewhere.
I wonder how it would have come out. Do you reckon it would have been a butt baby? Or do you reckon it would have like just squidged down the end of your toddler and just exploded out the end or something?
Maybe
Like,
it would
I
have
wonder how
ripped
it
me
would have
apart like an alien, just split out my
yeah.
chest. Yeah. Just a little Phil pops out.
No wonder you're screaming, fam. Oh my God.
Dude, there's this scene that like haunts me. I think about it probably too often. I think about it, to be honest. I think it's in Species 2, I think. And I've always said before, I think I said many times on this podcast at certain points, probably really early on in the show where you're drinking all the time, that there's nothing worse, right, than sexual horror. Like, sexual horror is just fucked. And I remember watching Species as a kid, and it's got like a super hot, smoking blonde girl in it. And I was like watching it like, I don't know, 15, something like that. And super turbocharged up, testosterone raging like a madman. And I watched it and I was like, oh my God,
smoking a cigarette with a can of beer.
yeah, definitely.
At 15,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, on brand. It was nearly legal then at 15. Anyway, and what happens in that is like she tongues some guy and her tongue goes through the back of this guy's head. And I was thinking, oh, the guy got suckered in, bro, by a gorgeous woman. This isn't fucking fair. Anyway, point is, Species 2, they up it, right? And the guy is the species. And he gets in a threesome, bangs these two birds. And then what happens is they like get pregnant super quick, like, and like their stomach like swells up like pregnant. But instead of giving birth naturally, the stomach peels open and the kid jumps out. And that fucked me up for a long time. After I watched that, I was like, that was fucking mank. Like,
Oh God.
Oh,
That is not good. Yeah.
no. I hope us bringing this back up to you isn't going to cause like some trauma tonight. You'll wake up and you'll be like, the baby, and then your stomach peels open, just jumps out, bro. No.
Well, I am due for a nightmare because I haven't had one in a very, very long time. So who knows? I'll update you on the next show if the baby comes out and what sex it is. If I name it, I'll give you some info on it if it happens.
I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me. Listeners, if you've got any horrific dreams that you want to share, get off your chest, write into the email or hit us up on Twitter. All the descriptions for all our different content methods are in the description of the show. Now let's move it on to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
So guys, it's been about 4 weeks since the last podcast episode, and I'm desperate to know what you've been up to in that time. Spence, as the king, kick it off for me, pal. What have you been playing?
Sure, mate. So the big thing I've been playing, I've been ticking away at it lately. So as you all know, I recently got the platinum on Last of Us Part 1 remaster or remake, whatever it is, PS5 port, and I've been ticking away at Part 2. And I'm not going to say too much about this, obviously. We've all played the game. I don't want to spoil the game because HBO, Season 2, all that. And it's still probably the best game ever made, if not at least top 5. So I'm 16 hours in, maybe 20 hours. I've got... Oh, how do I say it without spoiling it? Exactly where I am. I can't. I'm playing as Abby. Everyone knows you play as Abby now. That's not really spoiling it. And I'm probably 2 chapters away from switching back. So I'm proper close to the end. And as soon as I beat it, that's the platinum done. That's all I got to do. I don't even need to beat the game. I just need to find the collectibles. Got the platinum, and then I'm going to buy the £10 upgrade and, just get an extra little platty. why not, innit? Rather than buy it and do it on
Yeah.
that, may as well get 2 platties, and then I can play No Return. So great time.
Oh, fantastic, mate. It's been a long time coming, really, and you've probably done it the best way. Like I did my playthroughs to get my platinum back to back, and I enjoyed it, sure, but I went round and played the. Do you say No Return? Is that what it's called? What's
No
it called?
Return. It's the roguelike mode. Yeah, No Return.
Roguelike thing. So I played that round a mate, a listener to the show, Joe Dayman himself, round his, and it was fantastic. And it got me really thinking, like, oh man, I haven't played this game in such a long time. Like, I couldn't remember the controls, couldn't remember anything when I first got on it, and all the attention to detail in that game just blew me away again, like it did the first time. So it's probably about time I should go back and replay it, to be honest. But I kind of had my fill so early on that I haven't wanted to go back, if that makes any sense. So you're probably doing it in the right way to take that big step away from it. I suppose the big thing for me is, I know you're saying you're taking it back off and it's collectibles the big thing, but is it hitting for you the same way playing it again this much later on, especially as you know how the story unfolds and what's kind of coming? Is it still grabbing you, or is it not getting you on the same level as, say, The Last of Us 1, which gets you every time?
I'd definitely still say it's still grabbing me. It's still getting me, but it'll never be the same as my first run. No one's subsequent run will ever be the same as their first run for a game like this. It's so story based, and you'll never react to moments the same as you did. So I'm still very much enjoying it. I do love the game. I adore it. Rather than the story grabbing me, though, it's more I'm appreciating like just the actual gameplay elements and the AI, how it works, the way they freaking talk and everything. I killed a dog the other day, and they went, "No, bear!" And I was like, fuck me, that's my fucking dog's name. I was like, that's fucking devastating, you assholes. And then when you switch character, you can see that dog's cage. And if you've killed that dog as Ellie, at a certain point, that cage is empty. And you're like, raw.
Oh.
I was like, fuck me, that sucks. But just noticing like little things like that, all the extra little details, I'm really appreciating that about the game. But it's definitely, I'm glad I took a long time from it as well. It's like a 25, 30 hour game, man. Back to backs, that's just rough.
Spence, when it comes to this platinum run you're doing for The Last of Us 2, is there any specific trophies within that run that you've had particular bother with? Or if someone's going to be approaching it, maybe one of our listeners, one of our viewers is going to approach it, is there something specific they need to be looking out for when they go for this platinum run?
I don't think so, actually. There's like, in Last of Us 1, there's a few challenge trophies. Like when you fix the thing with... oh, bloody hell, what's their names? Oh my god, I play this game so much. When you're in the sewers, you got to fix this kind of lift, and it's a trophy for getting on there before it having to come back. And it's another trophy for completely stealthing missions and stuff. But none of that is really in Last of Us Part 2. It's too long of a game to have added stuff like that, I think. So it's mostly just collectibles and making sure you're maxed out by the end of the run. So I've not had any... There's no difficulty-related trophies. I'm playing on hard, but with the item discovery on easy, just to make sure I max out on all my stuff by the time I beat the game, which I'm pretty sure would happen anyway. But this way, it's just guaranteed, and it doesn't really cause any detriment to the game. So yeah, I'd say it's an easy platty to go for. Everyone could do it. There's nothing challenging about it. It's just long. It's just long, and I just take your time with it. Don't force yourself to do it, I'd say, because it will kind of get boring, I think.
Do you think they've learnt from The Last of Us Part 1 with the multiplayer?
And the difficulties, mate, 100%, yeah. Because in the PS3 version of it, you had to beat the game on every single difficulty. And do all the challenges, and do all the collectibles, and do the multiplayer. It sucked. PS4 made that easier by letting you just do the hardest difficulty. And then PS5 doesn't have difficulty at all. So they've definitely learned from their mistakes in the past. And if they do Last of Us 3, I bet it's going to be a beautiful trophy list.
I reckon this is a thing, though, for first party anyway. It seems to be that all the first party games that I can think of recent memory, like, say, I don't know, from, well, probably since Returnal, to be honest, they've all been achievable. Like, they've all been something that you can be like, right, okay, well, it's generally a playthrough or two, and you've got it. Like, there doesn't seem to be anything that's too, like, nuts. Like, I was looking at the a game that I'll be talking about in a few moments, the trophy list for that, and there's just some egregious ones that just take forever, So it's quite nice, I think, that what they've done. Like there wasn't anything insane across like God of War or Ratchet or any of the Spider-Man games. They're all like games that have like in the 10s or 20% platinum completion rates, and I think I reckon they've just looked at that intentionally and just thought, you know what, there is something here. Like people enjoy getting them, right? It's like a little badge of honor, so why not make it so it's at least achievable for people to do, which I quite enjoy.
I suppose from like a publisher's point of view, you kind of want your audience to get to that achievement, don't you? You want them, as you're saying, to wear that badge of honor. And if it is a difficult platinum, it could be looked at as a negative, and it could put people off wanting to play like a second run, for example, like myself, or maybe something very specific in the game, which is absolutely solid to be able to do. It might put a lot of people off actually really spending that time and enjoying that game. And ultimately, the publishers and the people that make the games, they want you to play the games. So it's a no-brainer, really. Make the trophies a little bit more accessible. I agree. I like the way it's going.
Yeah. I think there's definitely something about like, a big dick platinum, like a Wolfenstein. We always bring up like a Wolfenstein 2. It's got like a fucking super hard platinum. And that is like a real separate the boys from the men platinum. But I think like that as the general rule shouldn't be how to get a play, right? Like I think there's certain games where it works for that. Like I'd expect the next Doom, when that comes out, that should have a fairly challenging run, right? There should be one for playing it on like, the hardest difficulty and trying to get it through, because that's the kind of game that it is. But if it was that kind of experience across, I don't know, fucking Ratchet, is that fun for anyone? Like you're not in it for that, you're not in it for something so obnoxious as that. Whereas Wolfenstein's kind of on brand, or I feel it is anyway.
It should suit the audience really for the game, shouldn't it? And you shouldn't be punished for wanting a platinum on maybe a more accessible game, as you're saying, such as something like Ratchet, which the audience generally would be a little bit younger. I do agree with you. It would be it'd be hilarious if Ratchet's on like a 0.01% or something like that, because there's this absolute solid like trophy within it. But you could look at the flip side of it, couldn't you? And think like developers might go out of their way to make a really solid trophy within a game, just to kind of make their name around that and kind of rely on that kind of fame for the trophy hunters to be able to say, yes, this is my game, this is the one I've been able to platinum, no one else has been able to platinum it.
I'll tell you what, mate, you're banging the nail on there. I was about to bring up Devil May Cry 5. I've never gone back to it because I know about the platinum, but that's just a Capcom game, right? So if you compare them to like Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 6 got one of the easiest platinums you can get. It's a piece of piss, and they've made that decision. Whereas DMC 5, it's a 70-hour 6 playthrough, 8 out of 10 difficulty. And every single Devil May Cry game that's had trophies has been like that. So that's just a trope they've kept up for the franchise. And it's definitely something publishers and developers are doing. And I fucking love seeing it as well. It's nice when it's those select games that are hard. If it was the opposite and select games were easy, it'd fucking suck. But the way it's gone, yeah, it's really good. I like it.
Well, moving away from the trophy talk, Phil, what have you been up to?
So we've had quite a few weeks away from the podcast, and I'd expect, well, I think our listeners and our viewers would expect quite a long list from myself of games that I've spent playing and completed, and get that platinum button ready, Davey, when I go through this long list of games I've been playing. Because I'm going to disappoint you. I've only actually been playing one game on and off because I've been on my travels once again. I'm a very, very busy boy. There's a lot going on in my life at the moment. So there's all the excuses out of the way. It's time. I suffer because I don't have the time to play as much as you guys. But the game I have been playing is Dave the Diver. And I mentioned it on the big quiz, but of course we were drinking very heavily, and I'm sure I just slurred my way through the explanation of that game. So I want to just go back and give you a little taster, because I think this game really standds out, and it is an indie game that has stuck with me, and I think you have to be at a certain level to be able to achieve that with myself, because generally I don't give them a lot of time unless they're superb, and Dave the Diver is superb. Okay, so this game is the 2023 video game developed by Mint Rocket. So the game combines both action-adventure and management gameplay styles as the player explores the deep-sea environments and gathers ingredients for the sushi restaurant, okay? And this game came to PlayStation Plus back in April, and I've been playing it on and off sort of ever since, okay? And there's some amazingly memorable characters within this game. The art style is absolutely superb. It's kind of like 8-bit, but it also just like switches up different styles within the game, and it juxtaposes kind of like the gameplay with the animation. And it is chef's kiss. But just to go back to some of the characters, you've got Dave, who is the diver. He is the main protagonist of the game. You've got Cobra, who is your investor. He sits on the boat and basically gives you a lot of the missions. You have Bancho, sorry. He's the head chef, and he's very stern with his words and very passionate about the fish. You have a guy called Duff, who is your weapons specialist, and he is a sort of parody of the Warcraft guy from South Park, if you remember. And then you have Sancho, who again is a parody. It's all like kind of links to like geek culture. He's a parody of Ash Ketchum. So there's lots of little things that you just go, I see where they've got that from. And it just makes you chuckle. It's a really, really fun game. I've started exploring the deep oceans now and experiencing kind of the fish people that are down below. Not to go too much into the story and where that goes, but I defeated a very big giant squid, which was entertaining. And I've been playing a lot of it on my PlayStation Portal, actually, guys. So that's getting some use, and that might be mentioned. As you know, I like a little foreshadowing. Might get a little mention in the news a little later because there is an update which was particularly tasty, and I can't wait to try it out. But yeah, Dave the Diver, 90% on Metacritic, and at the moment, I would say it's a big 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice. Is there anything that's holding it back from, achieving maybe the 9s out of 10? Or hell, even taking it all the way up to a 10. Is there any kind of fatal flaws with this, or is it just the game is just what it is, and that's just an 8?
I would say it's slightly on the repetitive side, especially when you dive into the blue ocean. But there's lots of different levels to it, so I haven't fully explored the ocean. But the parts that I've been doing in this, I say relatively early stage of the game, it is relatively repetitive, but they keep adding complexity each time you dive and each time you go back to the sushi restaurant, which keeps it entertaining, but you have to always, repeat the basics. You have to always get a certain shark because it sells high in the sushi restaurant. You have to pour the miso tea or miso soup, which is ultimately frustrating because I think it seems slightly messed up on the PlayStation. I can never seem to get that one right. Maybe it's a skill thing on me, but who knows? Usually is.
No, fair play. I mean, it's a game that I definitely want to check out. And again, like you were saying, it's time, right? Time's been the big thing. And I do want to look at it. Unfortunately, it's got a bit of a list. And there's a big old fucking big long dong silver that just dropped on my fucking plate at the moment, which is overtaking the rest of my list, which I'm sure that me and Spence are going to be covering off in just a moment. But Spence, have you got any thoughts on Dave the Diver before we move it on?
All I want to know, mate, is this game, from the way you're talking about it, it doesn't seem like a game that has an end. Is it the kind of game you just perpetually play and just keep leveling up your sushi shop and selling better stuff? Or is there like an actual climax to this game? Do you know? Is there like an end to the story or anything like that?
Yeah, there is a story. There is something building within the background. So as you're diving down, you feature kind of new elements, and you go to new areas and discover new bosses. And there's kind of like the bad guys have just been introduced and they're chasing you around. They're trying to save the ocean, but ultimately they're the ones destroying it. There's a twist to it. So ultimately, I think the story will end. And then when it comes to the upgrades, from what I've seen, there is an ultimate kind of like style to the sushi shop, because you can upgrade sort of elements like the lights or the chairs or the music that's played there. So ultimately you can collect everything, and I think that's probably where that platinum lies. But yeah, I would imagine that would be the end of the story, but you can keep diving down just to upgrade everything within the sushi shop. That's what I would imagine. But who knows? As I said, I'd probably say I'm about halfway through this game, I'd imagine, because I put a fair few hours into it. But ultimately the story is just opening up, as every time I dive there's more and more to do.
Fantastic. A nice glowing review. And from that glowing review, we're going to go into a bit of a mixed bag for myself, because I am glad to say, after 4 fucking long months, I finally completed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Woo! 62 hours it took me to do, which, granted, there's people that are going to be screaming out saying, I did that in a fucking weekend. Well, you couldn't have. For a start, there's not enough fucking hours there, but people were somehow doing it. And I don't know how I feel about this game. I am very fucking mixed. I'm going to just lay it all out here because I know there's people in the audience that be messaging me and want to know my thoughts on this. So unfortunately, I might go off on a little bit, but I'll try and be concise. The game is at some parts way superior to the original Final Fantasy VII, like the PS1 version. Some parts is superior, but in others, it shits the bed so badly that I cannot believe it's got the meta score that it does. To me, I don't know why this sits on a 93%. I've got a theory, and I'll come to that in a little bit. But let me tell you what it does good. So, in terms of its pros, that I think it does better than the original, is that it expands on every single part of the original in ways that I never thought I would ever need. There's locations, right, which are total throwaway locations, like on Garda. Is a town that you can visit if you want to, and you learn a little bit about Zack's backstory if you go there in the original. Here, it's a massive forest that you enter, and that forest takes fucking donks to get into, and then the village is a huge, massive story part that happens there that didn't happen before. And it's like, oh, this is quite nice. This is a nice surprise. There's characters that I cared about here that I'd never cared about before. I mentioned before, the last time I spoke about this, I was in a place called Calm, which is like a proper shanty town. And it's all about Barrett's backstory. I've never given a fuck about Barrett, ever. Especially his backstory, never cared. Here, Barrett's in my party for the first time ever. And I loved his backstory. It worked for me. Like, it really got me on an emotional level, and I just did not see that coming. And I think for the thing for me that I adore more than anything is the parts that I love about the original, especially Cosmo Canyon. I love that place. It's like my favorite fucking place in like video gaming, probably, apart from maybe Shadow Moses. It's done just as good, and it somehow still got me on the level where a moment happens in that when I was a kid just really hit me and made me like quite emotional. And I had a tear at the same part. And I was like, God, that was done so fucking well. It does that and manages to nail these moments that really matter. But the problem is, it gets in its own way with constant string of minigames when you just want to progress. Throws another fucking minigame in you. Hardly any of them are fun. There's the odd one, right? So Queen's Blood, I played every single Queen's Blood game in the entire game. There's a solid match right at the end against this Queen of the Cards, and she made me have to totally make a brand new deck from start to be able to beat it, because it's very specific. She totally changed the way the game worked, and I loved every single one of those. I loved every single one. Couldn't get enough of it. Everything else, I have not done. Chocobo races are okay. It's like playing shit Mario Kart. There's fucking, you're a frog jumping about the place. You can play fucking Red 13 rolling around playing fucking Rocket League. It's just all bollocks, and it's everywhere across this game. That's annoying as piss. The other thing that's really fucking frustrating, traversal. It's one of the first things I picked out that was annoying, right, across this game, and that was when you're on grasslands on a chocobo running around. Every single area you go to, you get a different chocobo that you get. So it's changed from the original where you breed chocobo to race and then to be able to move around the map a bit easier. Like if you get a gold chocobo, you can run across the sea. They changed that, and so they make it so you catch one specific to an area which has abilities to be able to use in that open world. So a green one, you can walk up walls. A blue one, you can then fly on the water. And then there's another one, I can't remember what fucking colour it is, and you bounce off mushrooms, right? And it was when I got to the mushroom place in Golgada that I just lost my fucking shit. Because I was running around this place, and there's cliffs everywhere. You can't really see where the path is to get up there, and you've got to take a massive detour, and every time an enemy fucking turns up, instead of just jumping off, you know, you're a fucking elite soldier, you're doing all this crazy shit in cinematics or when you're using your abilities, he just awkwardly gets off his chocobo, and then he gets into battle, and it's like, God, this is so unsmooth, and it sucks every time. And then just to get on this fucking little stupid mushroom to bounce across, I thought there's no fun exploring this world. It's just not fun at all. And it really hit home because one of the last areas is Nibble, right? Nibelheim. And you get this chocobo, this blue chocobo that can float on water. And because it was fun to traverse, I did every single part of that area. I did every side quest, and I'd long given up on doing the side quests and stuff. But because it was fun to move around, I did them all. And I thought, fuck. That means like 75% of the game, I've just not enjoyed moving around this entire massive map. I've hated every single fucking moment of it. And it just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth because I feel like the game's kind of padded by having all this extra shit in there that isn't fun to do and isn't fun to move around. And it just really soils it for me. And I think the only reason why this game has done well, and it's done so well at the on a critic level, is because it ends so fucking strongly. It ends so well. And if you remember, when we talked about Final Fantasy VII, the first part of Remake, I hated the Kingdom Hearts shit. I hated how it went into this whole multiverse bollocks and all this crap. I hated every single moment of it. Having all these years to kind of simmer on that, I expected that kind of thing at the end here. And it happened, but it just worked. It was like pure fan service. And it just got me. And it was, I think I finished it at 4 a.m, right, on a school night. So I had fucking work in the morning at like 7. I had to be up to take my son to school. And I couldn't stop. I was just about to reach the end. And I was like, oh my God. I've got to see where this goes. Got to see. And it didn't disappoint. And I loved it. And I think if I had not had to sit on that for a week now, since I finished it to come here, I probably would be spinning an absolute shitstorm of this saying this was fucking amazing, loved every moment of it. If I'd written a review, I think that positivity at the end would have really felt through. But having an extra week to simmer of actually, that isn't what I've played for 60 hours. Like 40 of those hours, I've probably been a bit miserable playing. And then there's been about 20 hours of greatness in there. And I think that's how I kind of feel. I think if I had to give this a rating, maybe I'd probably go for a 7. And it's grim because the highs are a 10, right? The highs are up there with like FF16, but the lows are so bad. They're so bad and they're everywhere that it just ruins it a bit for me. Now, would I go for the part 3 when it comes out? Yes, 100%. I think the learnings they took from FF7 Part 1 to here, there's a lot of improvements, but I think they've turned the dial too much on shit that doesn't matter. And I think that hopefully with the third one, they'll find the right balance for what they need to do to be able to improve what was in the original and provide things in the open world that are fun. But I know I've been going on about this for about 10 minutes now. Anyone got any thoughts, or are we all just glad to see the back of Final Fantasy VII for this year?
Well, I'm glad to see the back of it, but I have a slight question. Now, Davey, I know you're not like a graphics guy. I know you're not big into that side of things when it comes to gaming. You like good graphics, the same as everybody. But ultimately, on a technical level, I think it just kind of all washes over you a little bit. But I read a lot of kind of criticism when looking at things around Final Fantasy Rebirth with the low textured environments, you know, textures popping, frame rates dropping under sort of 20 FPS at times, and some of the NPC models looking like they've been directly taken from the PS3 area. Is that something you noticed while playing through the game? Is that something you were conscious of? Did it kind of ruin your experience at all when it came to the graphic side of things, or were you just wowed at the spectacle?
I was mostly wowed by it, to be honest, and I think this is one of the benefits of coming to it, or actually working on this game now for such a long time, is that there's been so many patches. And I think if I'd gone through it really early on, I would have encountered these things. And I remember right at the start, when I first started it, you know, a few weeks after release, there was moments where I was like, oh, there's a lot of pop in here. There's a lot of this. The frame rate wasn't the best. But since I've been kind of focused up on trying to get it finished the last couple of weeks, I haven't really noticed anything. It's been performance-wise and technical-wise, it's been running absolutely fine. Voice acting's fantastic, music is exceptional, and the frame rate's been steady. Now, it's not been high, it's not been at the 60s, but it's been a nice steady 30, and I'm cool with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that at all for what this game is. So I got no problems whatsoever. And some of the environments and the spectacle is just out of this world. You know, it's beautiful, and it kind of it's like the same with any remake, isn't it? You look back at it and you think, oh, that's how my mind pictured it was back on PS1. And obviously, like, you look back at the PS1, Final Fantasy 7, and it's like, it looks like shit. But in your mind's eye, like when you got those muddy graphics, you build it up to be more than it is, right? So it's been hugely nostalgic, and yeah, I haven't encountered any kind of major issues. Certainly nothing that I'd want to complain about anyway.
Oh, that's good to hear, because I have seen some comparisons between like the original and this game, and it does look spectacular. But of course, I'm only seeing it in sort of static images, the best of the best. But yeah, quite interesting that due to a lot of patches, a lot of this kind of jankness has been removed from the game. So probably the best time to be jumping in now that they fixed a lot of those problems.
Definitely. And the only downside with this, right, is that whereas with, like, say, FF16, and I remember coming out of that and saying, guys, I'd thoroughly recommend it, however, just mainline it. Unfortunately, even if you just mainline it on this, it's not going to help, because the minigames are peppered throughout. So I don't think there's a way to do this. And some people are probably going to come out from this and they'll have loved every minigame, they'll have enjoyed every single part of it, and they feel like, God, there's so much content here I can really sink my teeth into. For me, it just didn't work. And so it's like I was saying about Platinums when you were talking about Last of Us 2. This one's a 200-hour one. It's you got to do everything in the game and then run it back through on a New Game Plus run on the hardest difficulty. It's something that I did for Final Fantasy 16 because that single player story is just so good. Like, just mainlining it is so fucking good. Whereas this, the thought of going back and doing some of that shit around fucking Costa del Sol again, rounding up all these fucking buggies and all this bollocks, I would kill myself, I think. I think I would just fucking end it. Because it's just not fun. You think, the fucking world's about to end. Why am I rounding up fucking buggies for? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, why am I doing this shit? But apparently, that's game design. Spicing it up. But Spence, have you got any thoughts on FF7 before we move it on?
All I was going to ask you, mate, is obviously I haven't played this game. I'm a massive Cloud Strife fan. Not played the OG, but I loved part 1 of the remake. Playing through the OG currently, actually. Would you, I mean, I've kind of got a thought of this from what you've been saying anyway, but would you, in good conscience, recommend this to a friend? Ever?
If you've got nothing else to do, yeah. I think there is, and the bad thing is, right, and giving this a 7, which, as we all know, I'd say is average as fuck, for our way that we normally give 7s out.
Yeah.
I feel like as if maybe I might be in the minority, because I never hear anyone shit on this, ever. Never hear people shit on it. But no, I wouldn't recommend it. What I would say is that just play the original. I think the original's just a better game. I honestly just think it is. And that's not even nostalgia. I think it's just that there's a load of minigames throughout the original as well. But they're over quick. And it does add a little bit of spice of variety as you walk around and have those kind of turn-based battles. Here, they're just fucking annoying. And you just don't want to do them, but you have to do them. Especially the Chocobo rounding up. Fuck me. That is one of the worst things. Oh, mate. I went to this one, right, dude? I went to this one. And it was these proto-relics that you can find. And they're generally pretty good little quests that you do in each area. And this one was just in case you got to beat up all these cactars as Yuffie. And I just finished it and knew straight away, I ain't 100% in this area. Fuck this. I hated it. Just hated it. And there's too many of those. Like, the Mog rounding up sucks ass. But there's so many that are just shit. Shit. I think if you were to use your time properly, play the original. It's just great. It's just well designed. Whereas there's too many flaws in this for me to fully recommend it to anyone, I think.
That's sound. I'm glad to hear it, mate, because I don't want to play it. So I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, you could do better. You could do better with your time. But on from that bombshell, and I'm sure I'm going to get some fucking hate for that thought, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, audience, anyway, and why I'm so wrong. And why I'm blinded by nostalgia. We are taking it back here to a game that came out in 2022, the Game of the Year winner of 2022. Not the Game of the Year for our podcast. I think it came in number 2 on our podcast. I think there was a little game called maybe God of War, which came out at the same time, so which clinched it. Elden Ring DLC has come out. Shadow of the Erdtree finally dropped. Big anticipated game for this year, and the one that's been kind of looming over us. It's finally here. Spence, you and me have been diving into it. You're further ahead than I am, but I've sunk a good few hours into this game now, probably a good solid 7 or 8. What are your thoughts on it? Glad to be back, mate.
Mate, it feels like I never left, man. It's a thing of beauty. It did take me like an hour maybe to get properly back into it and remember my build, remember my play style. I wouldn't say I'm further than you, I don't think. I've only spent like 4 hours in it, 4 or 5 hours. I've not played it that much at all. I've not had enough time. Unfortunately, time is, it's just what happens to us all. But none of us have that time. I want to play it more. It's fucking fantastic. It's probably one of the most well thought out DLCs and just most fucking, full of shit to do. And none of it's like side shit. None of it's boring. It's just more of Elden Ring. And like, it was already a 10 out of 10 game. And now it's got a 10 out of 10 DLC. It's just great, mate. It's literally just more of the base game, except harder. Maybe harder. On scale with the hard bosses in Elden Ring, there's just more of that. It's a thing of beauty, mate. I'm fucking loving it.
Yeah, I gotta echo those thoughts. I mean, it's a game that... Elden Ring's the weird one out of the Souls games, in that I've never gone back to it. And I think it's the scale of it has always been just a little bit like, I don't really want to go back and do that again. It feels like a big job. Whereas, like a normal run through a Souls game, maybe 20 hours, maybe less. And, you can just fly through it and really enjoy it, right? And have that kind of same challenge again on a different build or whatever it is. Elden Ring being the size that it is has always been like a barrier to me to want to go back. And I never wanted to create a new character. I got Barry Big Bollocks. He's going around with his double fucking hammers and all his buffs and just destroying shit. And I'm quite cool with that. So to go into this experience and to dive in, I don't really know the lore of Elden Ring. I don't really know the story. I've never really cared, to be honest with you. But I know there's a lot of that for those that do care. For me, it's just going in, seeing some fantastic scenery, fighting some weird, horrific enemies, and some great-ass bosses. And so far, I think I've fought 4 bosses now. Fought 1 in the open world. I fought a dancing lion. I fought Renala, and I fought some sword guy that gives a lot of people trouble right at the start. So I've been doing quite a lot and progressing through it with not too much difficulty. But the first time I fought Dancing Lion, he probably took me about 15 times to beat. He was kicking my ass all around the place. And as soon as I finally figured out how I could overcome him, it was a real nice challenge for me. And I haven't really had that since the last time I took such an L was Melania. She just fucking obliterated me for like 50 attempts. The most I've ever died on a Souls game to a boss was against her. And I kind of had that feeling again with this fucking lion. I thought, no way. Like, no. And it got me like looking back through all my stuff. Like, do I need to change my build? Is my build not working? But no, it was just get good. And it just stomped it back into me. And now I'm absolutely flying with it. So, yeah, I'm exactly right there with you. I'm glad to be back here. And as you said, we gave the original base game, a 10 out of 10 at the time. And I'm fucking standing with that. It holds up incredibly well. It's just, it's fucking fantastic. It's perfect. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just brilliant. Now, Phil, I know that you've never played Elden Ring. You kind of having your first kind of real Souls experience now with like Stellar Blade, I suppose. But have you got any interest in going into the? Is it the Lands Between? Is that what they call it? I can't even
The Lands Between is
the
base Elden Ring map. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got any interest in coming back in and maybe doing some co-op experience throughout Elden Ring, or is your time certainly not your bell's not being rung?
Well, Davey, interesting question, actually, because what I'm about to ask you might determine if I'm going to be spending some time in said Elden Ring. Now, I've been seeing a lot of negativity about this DLC because I see the flip side of things to you boys, and I've been reading some of the reviews that have been going out because it's been being bombed, apparently. They've been review bombing the DLC because players are finding it too hard, and it's something that, Spencer, you touched on, didn't you? The difficulty within this DLC. DLC. Now, I know you boys are cracked on the sticks. Everyone who listens to this podcast understands you are that 1% that sits above all, okay? You're not the 99% struggling at the bottom when it comes to this DLC. But can you understand why people would say that about said DLC? Is it a step up from the based version of the game? I'm going to come over to Spence first.
I'm not sure I'd say it's a step up. It depends what part of Elden Ring you're playing. Because, like Davey said, Melania is she's an optional boss. You don't even have to beat her in the base game. And most of the bosses are kind of akin to her difficulty, but not in the same way. She's just broken. Every time Melania hits you, she heals. And she hits you with like 50 hit combos. She gets full health immediately. It's horrific. And she has no openings to attack her as well. And this game, this DLC, is a lot more like that, where you have to really pick and choose your moments. So if you're going in with just a strong build, but you're not good at the game, you won't beat these bosses. You kind of have to have that knowledge of the game and a good build to coincide together to be able to progress in this. And it's definitely, I'd say it's generally harder than the base game. But that's just because there's more difficult bosses rather than, a lot of spread out ones. It's just focused difficulty. The one boss, Rolana, the second big boss in this DLC, took me 2 hours to beat of just constant runs. Took me ages. And when I got pissed off, I just summoned the Mimic Tier and did it first try. It was fucking... I'd got her to one hit from dead so many times. And I was like, fuck it, just kill her. Fuck it. So you can still cheese these bosses. There's still ways to get around and make it easier for yourself. But some people just don't know how, I suppose. A lot of people just boot it up, die, and say, fuck this. It's shit. But I think it's really good.
What are you saying, Davey? Can you speak to that?
A little bit, yeah. I think the difference is that these bosses so far that I've encountered are a lot more aggressive than some of the base game enemies. And you got to think, Elden Ring was that first one where you had a lot of options for how you progress, in terms of, if you're not strong enough, you can go and do all this side stuff and do all these dungeons and all these different things, and you can over level to the point where you can fodder a main boss, right? And you can do that in the base game, like any Souls game, you can do that. You can die over and over again until you level up to the point where you can proceed. But here it was kind of designed differently, in that you can go off and you can see stuff, and you can fight this little guy over here and fight him and go back to this guy way later on when you're fucking absolutely monstrous. And you had these like magic builds that one-shot enemies, right, and one-shot bosses, and people who maybe they haven't played Souls games before seem to kind of gravitate towards these. And I know a lot of people have kind of gone for these magic builds and Kamehameha bosses, and not just Lewis. If he's probably listening to this thinking I'm talking about him, no, you're not alone. It was very popular, and I think that's great. People have these abilities to be able to do that. This DLC, from the bosses I've encountered so far, are hyper aggressive, like Melania is. And the issue is, if you've got like a magic build or something like that, you need chance to be able to stand your ground and fire this fucking thing. And these bosses are not giving you opportunity to do that. Now, my character is a strength-based character. So he hits hard, he's got high poise, and the whole point of my build is I go toe-to-toe with a boss, and I can generally out-damage them. And that's kind of what I do. It's just that we hit each other just fucking loads, and then I win. Melania is a problem because she would heal. So I couldn't do that, right? Like, my strategy just fucking fell apart, and I had to play by her rule set. And the bosses here are giving me a good mix of that, where I can't just generally jump on them and just fucking destroy them. The odd one has, like Relena, who fucked you up, Spence. I think I beat her a second time, just that she powered up, and I was like, oh, I can just jump over her shit. Oh, she just got clobbered, right? And I was killed her in 1 minute and 5, and that includes my buffs. It foddered, absolutely foddered her. But the Dancing Lion was not that. He absolutely run amok on me. Just didn't give me an opportunity to really do that kind of thing. So I think it's a case of the player will need to change how they approach the bosses here, as opposed to the same tactic they used throughout most of the base game, which I think probably would have let you get away with that. But I also think that the difficulty issue with this is kind of imposed on people themselves, because if you are to use the summons and you are to do these things, you can get through it. I'm sure you can. Like, I don't see how you wouldn't be able to get through it with a Mimic tier and with a summon as well. Like, you can bring a summon in and a Mimic tier. Just do that. You know, if you're getting your ass kicked, the game gives you options to be able to get through it. It's not like old Souls games where it's just fucking get good and that's it. You could co-op up. You could do whatever you want to do to get through that. There are options there. And if someone's choosing not to do that and making themselves frustrated with the game, it's kind of on them. That's how I feel about it anyway.
I mean, it's basically what I was doing. I was trying to make it as difficult for myself, but I seek pleasure in that. I'm someone who wants to get beaten down until I have no choice but to do it. All these players just are used to, well, yeah, like you said, they've just kind of baby moded the main game. And now they've come into this and you're not able to. There are still options to do it and make it easier, but if it doesn't work, it's broke. Apparently, these people think there's no way to fix it. As soon as they try their old tactic and it doesn't work, they're like, fucking hell, not playing this then. And it's like, why not? Just play it a different way, do something else. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people like to quit early for some reason, and you'd think if they've already played the base game, they think not to buy the DLC. Apparently 60% of players haven't even beaten the required boss to get to the DLC.
Wow. 60%. I mean, that boss fight's hard. That boss
There's
fight
a
kicked my
trophy
ass.
on PlayStation anyway. There's a trophy for beating that boss, and 60% of players don't have that trophy.
Wow. He is hard, mind. He was hard. I remember him being hard at the time when I beat him. And I was like, oh, thank God he's gone. Little did I know what would wait for me in with Melania. But, you know. But yeah, I suppose that's the thing. Maybe it's just because it's blown to such a huge level with Elden Ring, it's opened it up to this audience that aren't used to what normally happens in a Souls game, you know? And maybe that's what it is, and they haven't had that fucking getting beaten down over and over again hasn't been bred into them to expect that, because as you said, you know, they've gone off and they've enjoyed kind of Zeldaing it in a little way, and you know, leveling up and going back in and fighting these things at a different pace. Whereas here, everything's kind of just out to kill you, and I'm enjoying it. I don't think it's any more of a rise than what I'd expect from the DLC in Dark Souls 1, like fighting fucking Knight Artorias for the first time. It's a fucking massive step up compared to every game every boss in that base game, or like the fucking what's his name, Night Gowl or whatever in fucking DS3. Like, that boss was fucking ridiculous. So, you know, there's always been a difficulty jump for the DLC packs. I don't think it's anything out of character from what's come before, but I am early days. There could be something in here that's just fucking absolutely obnoxious, but I haven't encountered it yet. But with that, I think that wraps up our Elden Ring chat, guys. We're going to be talking about this, I imagine, for the next few episodes as we work our way through the DLC. So I could well be eating my words, just like Phil with that fucking Gundam game that you played, and you're like, yeah, flying through these bosses, and then you hit a brick wall. It could happen, but we shall wait and see. Audience, I'd love to know your thoughts on any of the games we've discussed today, or any other gems that you want to bring to our attention. Just please let us know. But let's move it on to the quick news. Quick news.
Quick news. Welcome, listeners, welcome, viewers, and thank you for sticking with us from the first part of the show. You have made it through to the quick news. This actually probably isn't going to be that quick, because we got 3 pieces of news which the boys and I have cherry-picked from the PlayStation Nation to present to you. And we're going to do the same as we've been doing so far on this run of the show. We're going to go back to word association. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to give you the subject, Spencer, you'll give me the answer, then we'll move to Davey, and then we'll move to ourselves. And then hilarity will ensue. We're going to make a slight change as well to this, that the loser of the overall gets a shot rather than a shot each time and each round, because that was our mistake last time, and I think that's why Davey and myself got so messed up during the last big quiz. So that's a slight change, but it shouldn't affect the show too much, okay? So Spencer, I'm going to give you your subject. Here's the starting word, and the starting word is aeroplane.
Flies.
Flight.
Birds.
Sky.
Blue.
Green.
Rainbow.
Yellow.
Wellington boots.
Shoes.
Walk. Oh, surely
Whoa,
I fucked it. I
whoa,
fucked it. I
whoa,
Why
fucked
are
it.
you so unsure to say walk?
I don't know. I was thinking,
Walk.
things are going through my head that I just couldn't quite get it. I couldn't quite get it. Oh, well.
Quick news. So, lads, listeners, it's that time again. I'm going to bring you the monthly games for PS Plus July. And this is just base PS Plus. This isn't any of your stupid Ponzi tiers. This is what everyone gets. So the 3 games we're getting this time, all 3 of them are cross-gen PS4 and PS5. So we get Borderlands 3, the base game, no DLCs. We get NHL 24. And we get Among Us, boys. Don't know if anyone's going to be going back to that one, or if anyone doesn't already own it. What a strange little addition. But those are 3 pretty big games. So, boys, do any of them take your fancy? Any of them stand out to you? Any of them you're actually going to put on the library and download and maybe check out? Davey, across to you.
I mean, for me, you could look at it 2 ways, this list, right? Borderlands 3 is a big get. That's nice to have. Among Us for the kids? Sure. You know, like, my son loves Among Us. He can play that on here instead of playing it on his laptop. Cool. His laptop. iPad. Cool. Great, I suppose. And NHL 24, if the Devils are in it, and they are one of the top 3 teams in the UK, and they do compete internationally, they do quite well, the Cardiff Devils, maybe I'll check it out. I do enjoy ice hockey, right? But do they excite me, any of these? No, they really don't. It's a decent month. It's not bad. There's nothing here that I'm like, totally allergic to, but there's nothing here that gets my dick hard. So for me, it's a fast pass. I'll get them all get them in the fucking, in the catalog. I'll redeem them, sure. But will I go and spend the time in any of these experiences? No.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I have just had a little Google for you, mate. And apparently the Cardiff Devils are in the game. But they're
nice.
one of the only UK teams that are actually in it. Because they do so well.
That might be something to check out. Just have a look. Maybe they got the Cardiff home ground in there. Who knows? I might do that. I might actually download that and check that out just to see. But apart from that, I can't imagine getting hooked and coming on the show 2 weeks' time being like, fuck me, lads. I just got the platinum for NHL 24. Have you played it non-stop? I spent 500 quid on Ultimate Team or whatever the fuck they got in the ice hockey game. No, can't see that happening.
That's fair enough, mate. Fair enough. What about you, Phil? Any of them standing out to you?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to echo those thoughts. And generally, I'm pretty sour on the offerings from PS Plus. And this month is unfortunately no different. But just like Davey, they are 3 relatively big names, 3 relatively big gets. With Borderlands 3, it's a 77% on Metacritic. NHL 24, 71%. And of course, Among Us, even though it's a 2018 game, it's got 82% on the Metacritic, so that is the highest score out of the 3. But if I'm going to spend any time in any of these 3, and you know how much I like Wayne Gretzky's hockey, I might dip my toe into NHL 24, the same as Davey, or maybe we'll play online, because I think that would be a little bit of fun, and we can finally find out what icing means.
Fair enough, my friend, fair enough. I mean, I'm looking now, I'm trying to figure out when NHL 25 is. So I feel like, do you think they just gave this to us at the end of the season?
Like they did with FIFA?
Yeah.
So this game came out on October 6th, 2023. So I'd imagine it's one behind, unfortunately. But this is the 33rd installment of NHL hockey games. So I don't know if you're into hockey. We have the 33rd version of the game.
Do you reckon Wayne Gretzky's in it? Do you reckon you can get him as like a legend? Like
Gotta
they do?
be.
Surely, right?
I don't know if other games
we could
do that
draft
as
him
much
into
as
Cardiff.
WWE.
I mean, in
Maybe.
football games, you can play like old players generally.
Can you
I
nowadays?
believe.
You get your legend packs, don't you? All that paid bollocks that people go nuts for, like their mystery teams or whatever, where you get all these legendary players or whatever, and you put them into an Ultimate 11. I can see. Well, I mean, why not? Like, it's a way just to nickel and dime people, and it's going to be a hardcore audience playing NHL, I imagine.
And us.
Why not? Well,
No.
and us, yeah.
Yeah. And we're straight for the paid DLC. Wayne
I'd be willing to try it out with you.
£9.99.
Yeah, I think NHL's a game like when we're drunk. If we're having a drunk local night with Ultimate Gamer or whatever, class. I mean, we've literally never done it, but if we ever did, then who knows? Other than that one time at, what was it, like Gamescom or something like that, we've done Ultimate Gamer, but we probably never do it otherwise. But I think it would be fun. For me, these 3 games, Among Us, what is the fucking point in it being there? There's not a person alive who doesn't own it. It's like GTA 5 coming onto the service. It's like, oh, great. If the people who didn't own it now have it, but let's be honest, everyone did.
I think with Among Us, though, didn't they have a recent DLC that came out? I think a free DLC where they've got new teammates or shipmates or whatever they call them in Among Us. Something there rings a bell. So I'd imagine they're basically giving away the base to sell the DLC if it isn't free.
Yeah, basically what it is it is free DLC, I'm pretty sure, where they've added new roles to the imposter and the crewmates. So now there's like jesters who want to get killed, and if they get killed by the teammates, they win. There's like medic doctors who can revive crewmates. There's a sheriff who can like investigate and do some stuff. There's different there's like an imposter that can morph, so it can turn into other crewmates and then kill someone. So then they get the blame. So stuff like that. But all of this they've just added to the base game is just Steam community mods from 4 years ago. That's all it is. And now it's just on PlayStation and Xbox as well. And iPad and whatever you want to say. It's just stuff that people on PC have already been doing for years. So it's a bit naff, I think. But it's fine. As for the other 2 games, NHL will be fun, but let's be honest, I'm not going to play it. Borderlands 3, fuck it, who fucking cares? Came out years ago. I'd rather go play Borderlands 2 or something. Borderlands 3, I think, was the one where it kind of fell off. Other than it's got like one big Rick and Morty reference. Other than that, I don't know anything. And I feel like I should about Borderlands 3. So if I don't, it's just not going to be for me, I think.
I mean, the Borderlands thing kind of makes sense. We got the movie coming out, right?
True.
So it's kind of smart in that way, and you can see why they'd want to probably do this as a way to get people, queued up for the movie. I don't know who's publishing the movie; it might even be Sony for all we know. And so, maybe there's a little bit smart cross advertising there. But otherwise, as you said, it's definitely the one that I remember. The steam kind of ran out of the engine.
Yeah.
With Borderlands, didn't it? With this one, Gearbox was going through like a bit of a turbulent time, and it just didn't seem to have the kind of panache that the rest of them did. I remember when like Borderlands 2 came out and nobody could fucking stop talking about it, And Borderlands 3 was just like a fizzle in the pan and nothing, So, yeah, I think it's, as you said, a bit of a weird one. But I imagine it's because of the movie.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. And to be fair, smart decision. But who knows? I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play any of them. Maybe we'll all get together for ice hockey, but we won't. We got Street Fighter 6. What are we doing? But yeah, that is it for our monthly games, lads. Hope you all enjoy that list. If you do, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you're downloading. I definitely want to know. But moving on, round to yourself, Davey. My word for you to start this off. Are you ready?
Go on.
Ryu.
Ken.
Kung Fu.
Fighting.
Karate. Fuck me. Terrible at this today.
Black belt.
Clothing.
T-shirt.
White.
Black.
Yellow.
Wellington
I'm going to
boots.
say yellow's been said. Yeah, yellow's been said, so Davey loses.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it that?
You
Is
lose.
it that? You can't use it from different rounds?
Yeah, of course not.
Shit. I thought that would be a funny little thing. Oh, fuck
That's
me.
what we decided on last time we did this. We were like, we can't repeat any words from any of the rounds.
Oh, this ain't going fucking well for me, is it? 2 down so far. Thank God we changed the rules on this. Quick news. I got some bad news to kick us off today for my quick news. And that is that Lost Records Bloom and Rage, the game that I'm super interested on, especially after these conferences that we've just been watching, released by Don't Nod, or going to be released by Don't Nod, so it's currently in development, is being delayed out of this year, going into early next year. So this is what it says on the Don't Nod website, and I've done a Google Translate from French, so bear with, this might not be the best, but this was announced on June 28th. Don't Nod, independent publisher and studio for the creation and development of video games, today announces a new release window for Lost Records Bloom and Rage. The next narrative adventure from the creators of Life is Strange, initially planned for the end of 2024, This new intellectual property will now be available at the beginning of 2025. They say that after a thorough assessment of recent industry trends and developments, it was designed to slightly adjust the release of Lost Records Bloom and Rage in order to ensure the greatest possible success upon its launch. This new release window leaves plenty of room for Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Guys, any thoughts on this at all? Any sadness, any tears going to be shed at all for this little game? Something I'm very, very interested in, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Spence, come round to you first.
I mean, I'm absolutely keen on this game as well. I adore Life is Strange. What was the date it was pushed from? Do you know?
End of 2024. It was just late 2024 was the initial release window.
Okay, because I'm thinking, you don't think they were planning to launch around COD? And they were like, nah. Because that might be the case. But
I think it's a little bit more simple.
You think?
Oh, sorry, carry on. Yeah, carry on.
All right, I was just going to say, yeah, I think that might be the case, as it usually is the case. Although this game is obviously extremely different from COD. Probably couldn't be more different if it tried. But everyone just wants to get away from then. But it seems like from what you've said from that article, from that roughly translated article, that it's not like a necessity for the game to be delayed. They've just kind of done it as a sales tack rather than needing more time to work on the game. This is just part of their strategy, which I think is a bit strange.
Reading quickly on Reddit, guys, I see one comment that's been heavily upvoted, and it says that it's funny how Don't Nod are delaying their new IP to avoid going up against their old IP in the hands of another developer. Now, I'm not au fait with Don't Nod, so I don't know what that other game may be. But Davey, maybe you can fill us in on that. I know you're a fan of all this.
Yeah, so this is exactly my theory for why this is delayed, is because Deck 9, as we know, are doing Life is Strange Double Exposure. So the sequel to the original Life is Strange, not in the hands of Don't Nod as the original was. Deck 9 have been tasked with it from under Square Enix, and they're releasing in October. So do you really want to have two narrative adventure games that kind of do look a little bit similar? One that has their baby, Max Cobalt coming back? No. Get the fuck out of its way. Like, there's no room, there's not enough room for both of them. And as much as I think Don't Nod is probably going to be superior, because they're fucking just great at what they do, I still, if I was buying both or buying one, I'd buy Double Exposure. Yeah. So I think this is smart. I think this is a smart idea. And I think that's 100% what it is, Phil.
Damn. I think you boys definitely correct, but I also think it's nuts because wasn't Lost Records like unveiled first? Didn't they show that off before the second? Like, we only just heard about the second Life is Strange or the new sequel for Life is Strange. So the fact that they've seen it and been like, oh fuck, we need to move is nuts. They're terrified of this. They must have to be.
It must be fucking annoying, mind.
Oh yeah.
It would be like Kojima, right? He's like, yeah. Back to, say Death Stranding time, right? He's like, back to show Death Stranding. Got the release date all set up, good to go. And then he puts it out there, and everyone's like, yay, Kojima's back. And then he's like, and then Konami like, Metal Gear Solid 1 Remake comes out at the same time. You'd be like, fuck, my baby coming in to fucking destroy my thunder, right? Like, would you want that? And sure, Kojima would probably be like, yeah, fine, fuck it, what are they going to do? But I think most developers would. It must sting. It must absolutely sting to see this.
Mate, you've come up with an example there. An example already exists. The developers of Callisto Protocol against freaking Dead Space Remake. There was literally like a week between their launch. Callisto bombed and Dead Space is fantastic, mate. After that, they were probably shitting themselves. No one wants to be in the same spot that Callisto went into. And now they're working on a roguelike game that's based in the Callisto universe because they can't compete with Dead Space.
Yeah, you're right. I think there was a couple of months, I think, between Callisto and Dead Space, but it loomed over it, didn't it? We were seeing so much marketing push then for Dead Space, and it just looked fucking fantastic, and it ultimately did turn out to be fantastic. And yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's a great analogy to make, Spence. It really is.
It was. I've just found out exactly how long it was. It was just under 2 months of the release. It was early December, Callisto.
The January it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, in late January. 27th of Jan for Dead Space and 2nd of December for Callisto. That sucks.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it made Dead Space look so much better as well.
Oh, mate.
Came off Callisto and I was so sour on it. And then you get Dead Space and it fucking just slapped hits. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is what we needed. Maybe it'd be a similar thing with this, man. Maybe we'll play Double Exposure and we'll be like, oh, maybe it's not as good as we think. And then, Bloom and Rage will come out and you'd be like, fucking hell, don't miss. Maybe it's going to be a similar kind of thing. Maybe you'll end up comparing the two. But yeah, I think this is a smart play from Don't Nod moving this date. But let's move it on. Phil, going to come round to you, so we're going to kick it off. Let's do this next word association. Let's kick it off with PlayStation.
Controller.
Handset.
Gamepad.
X button.
Circle button.
Triangle button.
R2 button.
Square button. This is awful.
R1 button.
L2 button.
Everyone forgets about this one. R3 button.
Oh, L3 button. Oh, he's done.
That's too long. That is
Yeah,
way
it's
too
too long.
long.
He's
Way
done.
too long.
He's done.
Davey's thirsty this episode.
Davey said one.
Yeah, it was your go.
Yeah, I thought you
Oh,
thought
what?
it was someone else then. Yeah, it was your go.
I thought you
Oh.
were just repeating the one before.
No, he said L3. I said
No.
R3.
Oh, all right. I thought you just repeated the one before and you were just like, oh, okay. What do I say?
Oh,
No, I thought you were just.
Oh, all right. It's me.
Stuck.
No.
Oh,
I had
man.
a bunch.
I know.
Oh,
I was looking
that
at you
one.
and I was like, L1, L2. I was like, D
Start.
I know. I was like,
Options.
select.
Yeah, share
Up,
button.
down, left, right. Yeah, we could have gone for a while.
Oh, there we go.
Gyro sensor.
Oh dear. Gyro sensor. That would have been a wild one. I would have loved that. I'd be like, oh, let's go gyro. light bar, bro.
Okay, guys, so I have some news about the PlayStation Portal. I foreshadowed it earlier in my introduction because we've had a system update that launched on the 19th of June, and it brings 3 quite interesting, or at least one quite interesting feature to the PS Portal. We've got the new sign-in screen for select public Wi-Fi networks. We've got new visual feedback for touchpad areas, and we've got the battery level in percentages going to be displayed, okay? So going back to my original kind of review of the PlayStation Portal, one of my biggest criticisms was that you couldn't join public Wi-Fis with this. That was a really big kind of drawback, a big miss, I thought, for the device, outside of course having the multi sign-on, because those were the 2 big ones for me. But now apparently you can do this. It's still through a convoluted, QR and your mobile phone kind of system, but it's actually possible to play your PlayStation Portal now on the move outside on a public Wi-Fi. So our prayers have been answered, boys. The gods have blessed us, but I don't know how heavily. I am planning now one of my next trips to take my PlayStation Portal away. I'm off to Amsterdam in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to take my PS Portal away and test this, put this to the test, country to country, because I'll be away in a hotel. I'll have public Wi-Fi. I'm going to see if I can play some Dave the Diver while I'm away in Amsterdam and put that to the test. So the other 2 features, we've got some visual feedback for the touchpad areas. So that's just a glowing area, just to kind of distinguish when you press on the screen itself, and it glows around your finger. And then we're displaying the battery level in percentages. Just like Apple, for some reason, Sony didn't want to tell you how much battery you had on the device, but now you can. So you can easily just switch that in the settings. So 3, as I said, 1 more than the other 2, quite important updates to the PlayStation Portal that makes this system a little bit more viable. Now, guys, I know you're big haters, or at least Davey is, when it comes to the PlayStation Portal, but does any of these features slightly entice you a little bit more to buying one of these devices, possibly in the future? Davey, I'll come over to yourself.
Do you know what, weirdly, actually, yeah, it does. The big thing for me is that this public Wi-Fi thing, when you first said about it, I was like, oh, that's the fucking killing blow for this device. And we were saying at the time, like, I think you were saying, Phil, maybe this is something they're going to work on in the future. And me and Spencer like, this is fucking Sony. No way. Like, never going to happen. Well, it's come true, right? And this is great because it means that if I took it anywhere really, like I took it to work, or if I had one, I took it to Butlins or wherever you want to go, you've got the option to be able to play it. And I think that is fantastic. For me, the big thing's going to be when you do that test. If you do that test in another country and it works, I may end up getting one. I may eat my own fucking shit here and just get one, because that would be fucking amazing, right? Where was I away? I was on a cruise. Oh yeah, it wouldn't have worked. Might have worked. I was on a cruise, right, recently, and there's onboard Wi-Fi that you can sign up for, and it works pretty well. The onboard Wi-Fi, it's expensive, but it does work. Before this news, it wouldn't have been possible, because you would have to connect through, like, it would have opened a little thing. It just wouldn't have worked for me. Now I know that it potentially could. If your test is successful, there was a couple of times I was thinking, fuck, like, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII, not really enjoying it too much. I want it done. I had to take a week break while I went away. I could have played that, odd little bits here and there, and I probably would have finished it weeks ago. And it would have been a perfect opportunity to be able to do that. The missus goes in for a spa treatment, wants to go for a swim, whatever. I could be like, nah, do you know what? I'm just going to sit here with a fucking cigar on the top deck. Class. That would have been great. I'm warming up to it, mate. If your test works, I might be interested. I might be on the market, maybe a StockX kind of bid. Who knows? I'd be really looking forward to hear what you say about it.
He is warming to it. Now, I really think this is quite a no-brainer for them to implement, because it is quite a big drawback. And of course, for myself, I've just been using the PlayStation Portal around the house. As I've mentioned many times, it's when you're lying on the sofa and the TV's being used, or maybe that hour or two just before bed. But it's just perfect for knocking out some of the more simplistic, I suppose, parts of the game where you're not so invested in it. You can just go along and no-brain a certain section of the game. Or, of course, some of the indie games, such as Dave the Diver, which I've been playing, which I'll keep mentioning because it is an epic game. Now, Spence, does any of these updates sort of interest you? Have you come over to the dark side, the PlayStation Portal side, just yet?
See, I'm surprised by Davey's change of opinion, because for me, absolutely fucking not a chance. I mean, I'm not as big a hater on the Portal as Davey was anyway. I like the device. I think it's really cool. I'm glad that it exists. But I'm currently at a time where I'm not really playing many indie games, or I'm just not playing anything that I know would translate well to remote play. So currently, there just isn't a purpose for it at the minute. I suppose if I bought it, the one thing I'd want to do is maybe go back to Persona 5 and finally finish the game that I joined the PlayStation Nation for, because I've still never finished it. But that's got to be it. I can't imagine myself playing anything else on that system. So I don't think it's just not for me. Even with these changes, I still wouldn't get much application out of it.
Now, let's be real. The PlayStation Portal was never meant for someone to be playing COD or Street Fighter at the high levels, which you are playing currently, Spencer. So I completely agree with you. I don't think it fits that kind of use case. But as I was saying, when it's kind of going back and maybe doing second runs of games, it's perfect for it, because you have a slightly cut down experience of the game. You haven't got your big TV, your surround sound system. You haven't got you've got most of the features from the DualSense, but it's not the same as playing on your PlayStation 5. So doing those sort of second runs, I think it fits in perfectly. But for the games you play majority of the time, I don't think it fits your use case. So I agree of you not buying it. But of course, if you are on holiday and you're thinking, oh, I could be playing, I could be just doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, I think you might be a little bit jealous when me and Davey are sitting with ours.
That's the thing, though, as well. I don't go on holiday. So, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, that's fair. Well, that's fair, I guess. Yeah, I got a few trips this year, and so the thought is there. I tell you what, though, I do have a concern, a valid concern. I don't think there's any way this would be unsubstantiated, right? I'm running through pads at the moment like fucking no one's business, right? My God of War pad has just decided to start stick drifting out of nowhere. Yeah, it's just fucked. So now I'm down to one workable pad. So I've gone through the base one, and I've gone through God of War 1 now. 2 pads, both had stick drift. The base one, kind of my son's fault. I think he was just too little playing Astro and just dropped it a load of times. I think that's kind of on him. But this God of War one, definitely not. He's not even touched it. Never had it, right? I'd fucking guard that thing in my life. And now it's just fucked all of a sudden. My only concern with the portal, say everything works. Say the latency is fine and it's not what I think it's going to be and it's going to be shit. Say it does actually work and it's fine. I am concerned about how long it will last. Because that God of War one, that pad's a year old. And it's, 2022 I had it on launch of God of War. And it's fucked now. So if the pad goes on that thing, on the portal, you're just fucked. You just got an unworkable £400 device. And that's the only thing that I think now, with experience with my pads, I am a little bit worried of. And I'm thinking about getting a PlayStation Edge just to totally wipe this problem out for me in the future.
I think I've got a solution for you, Davey. Let me pose this to you. So remember on the Wii and on the Switch, when you get the nunchucks out, you have that little thing that goes around your wrist. So when you're throwing around your handset, it doesn't fly out of your hands. Now let me take you back, Spence. We were back in the days drinking vodka in my room. We set up Smash Brothers and Davey loses once again. The rage. You could see the smoke coming out of his ears. And he said, one more time. So me, John, Jody, thought, we'll give him one more shot. He talks a big game when it comes to Smash Brothers. He's running about, talking mad, saying that he's going to take us all on at once. And what happened? He got my handset and threw it against the wall. Dashed it down. So now, with your PlayStation Portal, when I beat you on Street Fighter, you've got that little thing wrapped around your hand, so you can't throw it against the wall, and it'll save your PlayStation Portal. You'll never smash it. You'll never get stick drift, because ultimately those handsets are never smashing against the wall or being dropped on the floor. Saved. And it's only going to be a couple of quid for you. So maybe go down that route.
It's a wise thing. I think when you make the the nunchuck comparison to like a Switch, the Switch just so well designed in that you just buy new nunchucks and just slide them on. Because I've had fucking horrific stick drift on the Switch, like frame one. They are fucked. My base ones. I've gone through another set of nunchucks. What are they?
Joystick, not
Joy-Cons. Joy-Cons. Gone through another set of those. I kind of wish that you could just detach that thing from the screen. You know, like I kind of wish there was an option for that. So, because it would never, until recently, it's never been a worry for me. But now I've realised this happened twice to me now. There is a problem. I remember right at the start of the gen, and people were complaining about them. And I was like, fuck no, people just shit with their pads, blah, 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 blah. Granted, I've had the PlayStation 5 now for like 4 years. A pad lasting 2 years doesn't seem like an awful long time, seeing as I'm still playing my PS3 with the pads that I use for that. And my PS2 still got my pads for that, and they still work fine. Well, the one does. The one's fucked from Dragon Ball. From fucking turning it around all the time. But the other one's fine. Oh my god, can you imagine how many sticks we're going to go through when fucking Sparking Zero comes out?
I just thought about it when you said that then. Please,
it's going to be horrific.
I'm going to have to use my Edge and just buy shitloads of
You're going to have to.
thumbstick modules. Fuck me.
It's going to be grim. But who knows? Maybe there'll be a fix for the portal. Maybe the portal's just better designed for the things. Who knows? But that would be something that in a year's time, maybe we'll get some news come out and people will say this is a big problem. But I haven't heard any complaints for that so far. I don't know if you guys have heard anything.
I think it's down to the types of games that people play on the PlayStation Portal. They don't really lend themselves to the aggressive nature of the games maybe you're talking about, like Dragon Ball. You ain't playing that game competitively on a PlayStation Portal. You know, a nice little indie game, flying around, simple. Then it works, doesn't it? And it works for a longer time.
It's also just a device that's supposed to accompany your PS5, not take over it. So you shouldn't be using that handset that's built into it any more than you'd be using your normal. Like, you should be using it way less than your normal PS5 and your normal controllers. So the longevity, just from the lack of use, it should last you way longer anyway.
Good point. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm over-egging the pudding. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens over the next year or so. And Christ, if anyone has heard anything, just chuck it my way. I wouldn't mind having some more ammo to throw back on the PS Portal, especially as I'm warming up to the fucking thing now. I need to, really double down on hating it again. Turning over fucking leaf.
Well, we had a record amount of comments on our last video. I think it's sitting over 100 comments now, and please read some of those comments because they are absolutely hilarious. I'd love it if we can get over 100 now comments about how bad the PlayStation Portal is, talking you out of it, Davey, because you're only just warming up to it. So I'd love to hear it. So, brings us on to the next round. Spencer, coming round to yourself, and your starting word is peanut.
Snack.
Crisps.
Pickled onion.
Flavor.
Spicy.
Hot.
Burn.
Cool.
Ice.
Water.
Air.
Life.
Love.
Death.
Grim Reaper.
Celestial being.
God.
Buddha.
Religion.
Jesus Christ.
Sandals.
Oh, that's ropey one, man. Because that takes us back around to shoes and feet, which we've done. That was a tricky one.
Sorry.
It's all good. I like it, man. I appreciate it. I was trying to use words that wouldn't go back to words we've used. So as soon as you did, it fucked me, bro. Anyway, quick news. So, lads, there has been an update to everyone's PS5. Now, we have on the dock that this is soon going to be coming, but it's actually already here. So let me explain what it is. Discord on your PS5, you are now able to just join servers and voice chats without the use of your phone. When you go onto your game base, there's a little Discord logo. And if you hover over it, it will show up a list of all your servers. It'll tell you who's in what server in the voice chat currently. And you can just join it right there. So there's no more of that stupid whip out your phone, swipe up, transfer the PlayStation, and then it joins. And you have to do that every time. Now it's just on your device. So what a fucking blessed day. This says that it's coming to Japan, Asia, followed by Europe, Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, and finally America. We have it now in Europe. I mean, we're not Europe, but we are Europe. We class as Europe. So I'm not sure if everyone has it just yet, but I know we have it, and I've used the actual feature myself, and it works flawlessly. I can't believe this wasn't how they integrated Discord initially. But I'm not sure if you boys join Discords too often, or if you've managed to actually use this feature. Either of you tried it out?
As much as I'm a PC player, or was a PC player, let me say, I don't really use Discord a whole lot, especially with the friend group that I keep with PlayStation, because ultimately it's you boys, and we all have PlayStation 5, so we just use the chat in PlayStation. So having this extra service, it's exciting, it's interesting, but unfortunately, I don't see it as a massive benefit to myself personally currently. It may be in the future, and I'm glad they are developing it to a point where you don't have this convoluted bollocks with your mobile phone, just like the PlayStation Portal seems to have absolutely loads of that bollocks ingrained into it. And I hope they cut that out. I hope it's just like the first move forward for them experiencing and trying out those systems. But I really want to move away from that as quickly as possible. But that Discord integration, it does seem very, very interesting. And, possibly I will take advantage of it in the future. But for now, I just can't see a use for it, personally.
I've checked it out, yeah. Do you know what? It's really good. Like you were saying, I haven't joined an actual chat, but seeing it there in the options to join and how, I didn't expect it to be so intuitive. I didn't think it would be. I thought the process that we kind of had at the moment, it was a bit of a fucker, but it worked. It was fine. It wasn't great by any means, but it was fine. Whereas now it's like, yeah, this is great. It means that if we're playing with Brandon on Helldivers or whatever, it's just much easier. And I think this is the thing, is that, anytime, Concord's on the way shortly, there's going to be PC players who may potentially go in and check that out. We may have options, we'll have people to fill a squad. I think this is great. Yeah, I didn't expect it to work the way it does. And maybe I don't give PlayStation enough props. Maybe I'm too pessimistic on their software implementations that they do and they have done over the years. But this was actually a really good working one, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. Much like Phil, doesn't benefit me on the daily. Generally I'm playing with you guys, but I like having options, and it's a working option that fucking works. So yeah, great to see it.
Oh yeah. I think the big benefit we're going to see in the near future is obviously Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming out soon. And I think Lewis wants to join us on that. So now he's able to play it on his Xbox. He doesn't have to get it on PS5. He can play it on his preferred platform. And because they have Discord integration as well, it could be us three, Lewis on his Xbox, and then Brandon on his PC, and it all work flawlessly. So it's exciting times for cross-play players. But like you said, for us, it's not that big news. But I dip in and out of like Discord chats quite frequently. I've got like mates on PC for Street Fighter, Helldivers, Call of Duty, all that stuff. So it works really fucking well, and it just sounds like you're in Discord. And there's new features in regards to before if someone joined the voice chat whilst you're in there on PlayStation, you would have no idea. There was no noise notification, didn't pop up telling you who has joined. Now it does, and it's built into the actual Discord integration. So everything's just there flawlessly. The only thing we can't do is screen share, I think. But I also can't imagine that being implemented, because I think they want to keep that on their PS party chat thing as a reason to use it. So I don't know. But definitely exciting times ahead of us, I think. And it's going to be mega useful when Call of Duty comes out. Moving on, around to yourself, Mr. Davey. My loyal subject. My word for you, my friend. Crown.
King.
Queen.
Oh, that's close. Masters.
University.
Degree.
Intelligence.
School.
Mathematics.
English.
Science.
Test tube beaker.
Chemistry.
Bunsen burner.
Flame.
Oh, that's such a bastard one again. We've gone through all the colours and everything, man. We've gone through all the colours. We went through hot, heat, burn. What was I supposed to say?
Yeah. It's getting tricky
Dunno,
now at this point.
Flame means something else, doesn't it? Doesn't that actually always just mean fire?
I should have.
A flame could be a bad comment in chat.
It's like as soon
Could've
as
gone
I
Johnny
started
Storm, mate.
complaining, I was like, arson. And I was like, fuck. But it's gone, mate. It's gone. Fuck's sake. All right. Oh, fucking over to
Unlucky,
you,
my
mate.
friend.
Fuck's sake.
Quick news. Got some good news, guys. The Concord beta is fast approaching. So the beta early access begins on July 12th to the 14th. And I want to do just a special shout out here to Maloon. Maloon, you're the absolute fucking goat. We were saying that none of us were probably going to pre-order it. Maloon has, which means that we now, because when you pre-order it, you get 5 passes, I think it is. Maloon's got himself, one of his mates, and us 3, all of us, in for the fucking early access. So that weekend, July 12th to the 14th, Maloon, I'm cancelling any fucking plans I got. I'm your bitch. Whenever you need me, bro, I am there. And we are going to smoke every fucker around. I'm mega looking forward to this. And it's the thing that, for those that haven't pre-ordered, you're not out the loop, because the open beta goes from the July 18th to the 21st. And so what will be interesting is that if we dive in on the early access, we get to see how it is right there and then. And then the open beta, we can see the improvements that they've made. They got a few days extra. COD always does this, where they have an early access one, kind of a little bit ropey, and then you get into the next one and you can see the improvements that we made. Maybe they changed down the sprint or the reloading or whatever it is. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how this kind of changes between the early access and the open beta. But are you guys excited to jump in with Maloon and the boys on July 12th? Phil, over to you.
Now, initially, I think when this was announced, I was a little bit sour. I was like, oh, here goes another hero shooter. But I think the more I've seen and the more I've read, the more I'm liking about this. And I'm definitely spurred on because we have that early access. And I'm really interested in spending some time with you boys, with Maloon and his friend, if they're going to be joining us, to see what this game is all about. I'm very, very interested and very, very hype about it. So at the moment, I can't get enough and I'll be there. I've got the days booked in my calendar, ready to be online and ready to be playing with you boys. So yeah, let's go. Team up.
Nice, mate. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. It's a tough schedule to get in for yours and my schedule, so for it to clear both of them,
True.
High fucking praise indeed. Spencer Davis, will you be joining us? Will you be coming with the boys?
Oh,
Playing with the boys.
New jingle. I mean, I'm definitely there. There is a Street Fighter 6 tournament on July 13th. And I'm a bit like, ooh. But I've not gone to a Street Fighter 6 tournament yet. I'm not in a rush to go to one, really. I'd like to just play the game more. I'm definitely here for Concord. My only issue with Concord is that if it's akin to anything, it's akin to Overwatch. And Overwatch, or that genre of game, is like the one genre I'm fucking arse at. I'm really bad. So this might be the one time I show up and I'm bottom of the leaderboards, and I am not excited for that. But if it's a chance to play with the boys, play with the fans, and play with our fans' friends, then hell yeah. Obviously, I'm going to be there. I'll play it fucking every day with you boys, and with you, Maloon. Definitely with you.
I always think, mate, I've never played Overwatch. I've never really played a hero shooter before. But the thing I know is that we're just cracked on the fucking sticks, bro. So I don't think we got a problem. Me and Phil were wrecking shit up in Exo Primal. That's a kind of hero shooter. It was shit, but we were fucking slaying. We were top of the fucking team every time. Whenever the COD beta comes around, Spence, you and me, that matchmaking hasn't kicked in, and we're just smoking arse. I tell you what, Maloon, I'm going to make a fucking thing here. We will carry you through.
Don't say we.
If you're struggling, mate, we're going to carry you through. And I'm going to go one step further here, just to spice this up, is that I think whoever does the best, we always punch down, right? So normally I would say that whoever does the worst out of us three across this open weekend, whoever does the worst should have a punishment for a shot. But instead I'm going to incentivize us, right? Whoever does the best can pick a punishment for the other two to do in terms of shots.
I like this.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they could say they got potential 2 shots to give out. They could split them. They could just give them to one person if they've really fucking sucked, whatever it is. You could punish. I reckon we do an incentivized challenge. Whoever does the best, and we could put that to a vote for all 3 of us.
Could make the other 2 kiss.
Yeah,
really want.
I'll take
if you really
shots,
want,
bro.
whatever. Could be anything, right?
I'd
Yeah,
just start
spice it up,
missing all
whatever
my
you want to
shots,
do.
mate.
Okay.
I'll just
All right.
miss all my shots.
Dreams might
I'm like, oh,
dreams might come
no.
true. We'll see.
Oh Christ! Well, we shall wait and see. But yeah, for those that aren't in the that haven't pre-ordered yet, don't panic. You will have opportunity, as I said, July 18th to 21st, and we'll see you on the fucking battlefield, boys. Now let's move it on to Mr. Philip Hoy. But first, a word association: squash,
Tennis.
Sports.
snooker,
Balls.
Volleyball.
ping pong,
Bat.
Ball.
throw.
Didn't we already say ball?
I don't think so.
Have we
I
said ball?
ball. I said ball.
When?
I said balls.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna put one on for Spence then on that. But when we listen back to the edit last time
Last
this
time I got it
happened,
wrong.
yeah, you got it wrong. So
False accusation.
we may have
yeah.
to walk this one back on the edit, but we'll have a little look. Go on then, Phil. Hit us with that quick news.
Quick news. So, guys, Sony may be working on native PS3 backwards compatibility. Now, I've picked out a little bit that I'm going to read verbatim for you just to describe what's actually happening. So, Sony could be working on a solution to make PS3 games natively playable on PS5 consoles. According to recent claims made by a reputable insider, despite some of Sony's latest efforts to redeem the issue, the PS5's underwhelming backwards compatibility has been a consistent point of criticism for the otherwise impressive current-gen console. Now, I'm going to throw it over to you guys and say, was this ever a problem for you? And would you like to be able to play your PS3 games natively on your PS5 console without having to stream them through the cloud? Now, I'm going to come over to you, Spence, first. Now, I know you're not really like a retro head when it comes to games, but I think you're around in the PS3 era. You're not that young. So there must be some classics there that you want to go back and play. Now, would you be up for being able to put that PS3 disc into your PS5 and being able to play it?
Well, I mean, that's definitely not how it would work, I think. I think it's definitely going to be part of the PS Plus subscription tier as like extra games added on every month or every few months. We'll get some PS3 games added on. But it's not. It's an issue they've had since the creation of the PS3 because of how they stupidly developed the system. And it's gotten to a point now that I don't think it's an issue that really needs to be solved. I might be biased in saying this just because I have a PS3 now, courtesy of you guys. But I'm happy to just boot up the PS3. I don't really care about this anymore with all this backwards compatibility. I got too much fucking PS5 shit to play. You think I'm going back for the PS3? Fucking fat chance, mate. It's exciting times, and if it does work and it's native and it works well, brilliant. But I'm pretty sure I've just read, either the other day or today, about their PS2 emulator not meeting like standards. So a PS3 emulator, I can't imagine it going better than the PS2 one. Not with all the difficulties they've had so far.
What you don't want with all this and this replication of older games, you don't want to be going backwards with quality and consistency of the games. So ultimately, if I've got a PS3 and I have a PS3 disc and I can play my PS3 on my CRT, which sits next to me on my desk, happy days. But if I have to put it on my PS5 or, somewhat download it through one of the services and it's a lesser experience, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. So I can see what you're saying there, Spencer. Now, Davey, I'm going to come over to yourself. What sort of thoughts do you have on this? Has this been something that's been interesting you along this sort of timeline? Because it's been going on a long time.
Yeah, we've spoken about this a few times on the podcast already when different rumors kind of come up. And it's the big thing that I'm always asking for is to have like a native solution to be able to do it. And for me, it's kind of, I do play my PS3 actually quite a lot because I cover older games, and one of the best resources to get older games legally is the PS3 store. The PS3 store's immense for downloading like PS1 games and stuff like that. It's just so good for that. And so I use my PS3 quite often. And the thing that strikes me every time I use my PS3 is how shit that PS3 controller is. Especially now. Like, I stuck with it. I love my PS3 to death. I absolutely adore it. But that controller doesn't hold up, right? It's just not very good. I would love the ability to be able to cut out the shit of setup and just be able to just do what the Xbox does, where you can put the disc in, it like redeems the key and starts downloading it straight away. That's what I want. Xbox have had it for such a long time now. That would be amazing for me, and it would mean that I would be able to just, at a flip, just a whim, I wouldn't have to set anything up. I could just literally just take off Resistance 2 from the fucking wall, chuck it in, and just fucking capture the gameplay, and it just work. And I suppose the dream with this is that you'd expect it to work as well as the PS3 does, right? And even if it comes out and it's a downgrading experience, it's like, I don't know, say it's got frame rate issues or whatever it is, it's a step in the right direction, and I'd happily have that rather than nothing at the moment. And it would mean that there's people out there that could go into CEX now and they could buy a shitload of PS3 games for literally fuck all because they haven't, had the retro price hike that like PS1 and PS2 games are under at the moment. You can buy a huge back catalog for basically fuck all. And they'd have that opportunity to be able to do that and experience those classic games, which they can't do right now. So I think even if it came out and it wasn't in the best shape right now, it's still better than what we got. So I'd be fucking happy with it regardless.
Yeah, I agree. It is welcome news. And as much as I have a wealth of retro games behind me, I'll take another opportunity to flex my collection because I have quite a large collection when it comes to the older PS games. And I have been filling in a couple of the missing spots with the PS3 games because they are particularly cheap in CX. So there's a little tip if anyone's going into game collecting. I think this needs to now be the standard moving forward. So when we get the PS6 and the PS7, if we solve these problems now with being able to play older games on newer systems, there's just solved forever. And then forever those games can live and we can play those games. So it is a welcome thing that we are still pushing in the right direction with this. And I just want to see it progress and get to that point now where I'm on my PS6 and it all just works perfectly. I can play anything, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, all on my PS6. And that would be the ultimate dream.
Well said.
Okie doke, let's move this back around. And Spencer, your word is beer bottle.
Chug.
Puke.
Sweet corn.
What's the word? It was like undigestible was what I was thinking of, because you can't digest sweet corn. And I was like, fuck, that'd fuck Davey.
It's always sweet corn in your puke, isn't there? Always.
Not mine,
Yeah.
mate.
Carrots, bro. All the time, carrots. Don't even eat carrots that often. Just always there. Just hang
Never
around,
eating
mate.
carrots.
Chuck them up.
Never eating carrots, but they're always in your puke.
Always, bro.
How are you getting them into your body? Some other way?
You don't want to know. I don't talk about my shits, mate. That's wild. What comes out of there? Rats and stuff. Oh, that South Park episode, he chucks a gerbil up his ass. Yeah, not pooping them out.
Quick news. We have some very, very, very excited news to the fighting game community, boys. I'm sure you boys are just as excited as I am. Basically, during the last Nintendo Direct, I believe it was shown, there is a new Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Arcade Classics, it's called. This features 7 legendary games, and those games are as follows. X-Men, Children of Atom. Marvel Superheroes. X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. The Punisher. And the one I've saved for last, the big bastard in there. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes. And now this game is going to support full online with ranked classic. It's got training modes, which Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has never had. And now it actually has one with all the hitbox indicators and everything. This is a full-on release of these games that we haven't seen in maybe like 12 years, if not longer. Lads, are you fucking excited for this? Phil, across to you first, because I'm not sure on your opinion of this, whereas I'm pretty sure of Davies.
Well, when I watched the Nintendo Direct, this was the best moment of the entire show. And I remarked to one of the boys in work, because he said he had watched the show and he started listing off the Zeldas and everything else. And I was like, but Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is coming back. And he was like, what?
Nah.
It just washed over him. But I think for fighting game enthusiasts, such as us three, and maybe I'm less so these days than you two, because you still play a lot of these games. This coming back definitely brought a lot of nostalgia during that presentation, and I was like, this is going to be brilliant. I cannot wait to be able to play this. And it seems very affordable. These games that Capcom release, these legendary sort of packs or these classics that they do, they come in at a very affordable price as well. So all I can say is Maximilian won.
Yes.
He did. He put together a little movement a few years back, and it's come through. Capcom has listened. I don't know if it's down to Max specifically, but Marvel's back, and Marvel's going to be back in a big way. And this is good for the future of Marvel, because of course the last game was not received that well, unfortunately. So if people get behind this game, and they vote with their wallets, as we say with every fighting game that seems to be coming back, then we're going to get more of this in the future. So we might get a modern Marvel vs. Capcom game if this is received well, and I really hope it does.
Hell yeah, mate. Hell yeah. I feel exactly the same. Davey, mate, over to you.
Mate, I popped off. I watched the Nintendo Direct. I was in work at the time, and I had Nintendo Direct on in front of me. And I was having a great time, man. I mean, like, a new Zelda looked fucking amazing. Put that straight on my fantasy list. I was like, fuck yes, put whatever, bid the maximum of my fucking can to get this, because it looked immense. Metroid Prime looked amazing. Mario Party looked really fun. And I was like, yeah, I'm having a fucking great time with this. This is fucking fantastic. Marvel. I was like, I couldn't believe it, bro. I literally popped off. I went nuts. It was so exciting to me. And to see that it's got full rollback, I was like, oh yeah, please. And then, as you said, like, there was a training mode in normal base Marvel 2. One, like, a training mode now. Like, a training mode now gives you so much information at your fingertips. Like, you go on Street Fighter 6, you know the frames, you know when you can hit shit, you know what can link into what, just judge by shit. Seeing that kind of level of training mode in here got my dick fully erect. I could not believe what I was seeing. It was madness. And to me, Marvel 2, I love it, but I've always been shit. I've always been shit at Marvel 2. I just cannot fucking get it. I can't get it to work for me. Now, I've got no excuse because this training mode will give me the tools I need to finally fucking get good at Marvel 2. And I can't wait, bro. Cyclops up front, Iceman in the back, get Spidey in the mid. Probably not the best team, but the team I fucking like. I like those 3 characters and I can use them all in here. Cyclops hadn't been back since MVC2 and I can play him up front and get my boy fucking Optic blasting everyone. Can't wait, dude. I'm so excited by this. Let alone Marvel Superheroes was, I think, my first ever fighting game.
Oh wow!
It came out on PS1, and I've still got it. Got it down there, and I played that game to oblivion. Spidey main all the time. I loved it, man. It's the first time I ever got to learn about Blackheart, and fucking Thanos was in there as the final boss. I had no idea who he was at the time. And so I got to experience like the world of Marvel and really like stretch myself so I could go to Dad and be like, who's Blackheart? My dad's like, oh, let me tell you about Mephisto. Let me tell you about all these demons and all this demon world. And yeah, it just fucking blew my mind. So to go back and play that game is going to be great because I've got that on my PS1 Classic that I modded to include it on there, and I played it fuck ton again then at that point. So I'm just really glad that I can get all these and just have them on the PS5. I don't have to dig out my PS1 mini that I've, put Children of the Atom and MVC2 on and all this stuff. I don't have to do that anymore, and I can play it with my fight stick, and I can learn to get good at Marvel. And that is the big thing for me. Like, I'm going to have my fun mess around game in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which, no one's going to be playing that competitively. Those games are totally unbalanced. That's not the point of them. They're fun. And then when I want to get serious, MVC2 comes out. And I can't wait to see the wave that this brings back now with more interest. Everyone loves Marvel too. And to see it get like fresh new eyes on it and potentially grow, and fuck knows, it could even be back at EVO next year, for all we know. That's amazing. And I'm over the moon with this. This is a fucking day one. As soon as they announce that date, whatever's in its way needs to fuck off. Because me and Marvel are going to be sitting in a fucking room and I'm going to learn some combos. Can't fucking wait, bro. Super excited.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Now, you did list off your potential team there during that little rant. Phil, what do you think your team might look like for Marvel 2? Do you have any idea who you might play in this game?
Well, you've put me on the spot a little bit. As much as I'm very hyped about this game, I don't have a specific team when it comes to these games, but I was always Venom heavy.
Oh, hell yeah.
I will admit that. Now, I've got a memory of playing this game at Disney Quest, and I think I took you boys back to that place in a previous podcast some time ago. But I remember as a kid going up to the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade, and there was a bunch of like older boys playing it, and they all thought they were great, and I thought, well, we'll have them here. And I jumped on, and I remember just mashing, and I remember beating her. And that was one of my earliest memories, earliest wins when it came to a fighting game. So my team would be very Venom heavy, but as for the other characters, I wouldn't be able to list them off. I'd have to find some balances, because of course I want to beat you boys, so I'll need to hardcore this and put in some research. So Venom would be my main.
Hell yeah.
What will happen is, Spence, is that Phil will start with Venom. He'll have like, I don't know, Venom, Hulk, Juggernaut team, right? And then what will happen is that we'll go away for a couple of weeks, get back together, and then he's running like the fucking Storm, Sentinel, Magneto, fucking top tier fucking team, and he's pulling all these crazy combos out. Be like, fucking hell, Phil. And he's just done it all on his PS Portal, bro. He's just been lying in bed next to Laura, just fucking learning flight combos. And all this shit. I think we might get smoked, bro. I might have to just give up on my team I adore and maybe get some heavy hitters in there, get the Storm out. But what are you thinking for team-wise, Spence? Who are you thinking?
Oh, mate, immediately, I was just like, all the women. So I was like, Cammy's in this game. Gotta be Cammy. Jill's in this game. Yo, Jill's gotta be my team. And I was like, I got no Marvels. Oh, yo, Rogue. And I was like, shit, what?
Oh, and it's old Rogue as well.
Hell
it's
yeah.
not new Rogue.
But also, like, if you look at Storm's art in this game, Storm looks bad as hell. So I'm like, ooh, I might be top tier without even knowing. Who fucking knows? But that's my team that I want going in, I know it's not the team I'll play. I know for a fact, I'm thinking, yo, Magneto, yo, Hulk, Sentinel, I'm thinking some of these busted fuckers. But I want Cammy there somewhere. I'd love for Cammy to be just represented somewhere. Unless they don't have X-23. So Cammy's got to stay on the list. But mate, I'm just as excited about this as you guys. I cannot fucking wait. I don't think I've ever played Marvel 2. So I'm fucking super keen. Unless I played it over yours, Davey. Yeah, I've played it over yours a little bit then. But I've definitely not spent much time in Marvel 2. So it's a game that I've always wanted to learn and play because I know it's a beloved game in the fighting game community. And this is my chance to finally fucking test my steel, put the effort in, and watch you guys absolutely annihilate me. I can't fucking wait. It's going to be a great time. And hopefully, we either pick up the slack of Street Fighter 6 or this starts to take over or something. So I'd love for us to have some heavy fighting game nights, boys. I think it's going to be a sick time when this game comes out. I am thinking, though, what is the Punisher doing in there? The game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a random one, that one. And I didn't even know there was a Punisher game. And I know that, a nice 2-player side-scroller where one person's Nick Fury and one person's Punisher. Cool. I've never played it before, never even heard of it. So, fuck it. I love a side-scroller as much as the next man. Chuck it on the list.
It seemed proper random when they announced it, as if that was going to be the highlight of this collection of games. Like, and the Punisher! And everyone was like, what? They're still, like, losing their mind over Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? Because they kind of knew Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was going to be good. Because, of course, they dropped in the beat, didn't they? I'm going to take you for a ride throughout the whole, presentation. And then they ended with the Punisher. It was really oddly kind of paced, I thought. But who cares? Marvel vs. Capcom 2's in it, so fuck it.
Yeah, it's true. It's called Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. And they're like, also the Punisher. Hey. So what the fuck? This ain't no fighting game. Get this out my collection.
Way I think of it, it's kind of like a meal, isn't it? You got your starter in Children of the Atom. Everyone fucking loves that. You got maybe you got your sorbet or something like that in Marvel Superheroes. Everyone's happy with that. See it come back. You got your main course in MVC2, and then a little dessert or an after coffee mint in the Punisher. It's just chucked in for good measure. And fuck it. Would it be worse the collection without it? No. I don't think anyone's buying it for Punisher. But it's nice to have it there, right? It's an extra thing that I didn't know I needed, but I'm happy to have. And after I'm getting my ass kicked online by a fucking 10-year-old who's just picked up MVC2 and apparently is just fucking sick at it, when that happens, which it probably will, because me and Marvel don't have the best relationship, I can then just let off some steam by beating up some fucking absolute jobbers on Punisher. Just enacting his revenge on every single random person that walks along the screen this way. Just get fucking backslammed or shot or whatever the fuck he does in that game. God knows. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm happy for it to be there, bro. And that's all we can really want.
Sure. It's finest there, but it's just strange. But anyway, moving on. So back round to yourself, Davey. My word for you, Marvel.
DC.
Comic book.
Page.
Turn.
Roundabout.
Driving.
Clutch.
Rock and roll.
Heavy metal.
Pop.
Balloon.
Rubber.
Condom.
Lubrication.
Smooth.
Rough.
Beard.
Hair.
Arse.
Poo.
Smell.
Stench.
Bin.
Back.
Fuck, I'm out. Fuck.
Thank God.
Don't know.
Bin bag, mate. Fuck me. This game gets so stressful at the end.
It does. Think, fuck, have I said this? I
was like, when you said balloon, I was like, rubber. I was like, fuck me.
Quick news. Now, I got here an article, which is from Android Central. I'm going to read parts of this out, not the full thing. It's a really big article, and I'll say that I'll link it in the description of the show. Probably won't, because we always forget to do that, but I'll paraphrase some parts from it, and I'll try to do my best. If not, if I don't put it there, just go on to Android Central, give them a click through from me, just as a thank you for them doing this. So, this their article. Sony no longer cares about the PSVR 2, and neither should you. That's what the article's called. Okay? Now, I'm going to read a few paragraphs from this. Until now, the PSVR 2 has been a pretty darn good VR headset. Well over 200 games are currently available, with several impressive releases like Horizon Call of the Mountain, Gran Turismo 7, and the duo of games that can't be mentioned, Village and Fall Remake. However, the headset now has an insurmountable problem. Sony no longer cares about it. Sources close to Android Central have revealed that Sony is making deep cuts to funding for VR games. While I'll paraphrase for anonymity, my source was told that there are very few opportunities for VR game development at Sony going forward. To back that up, another source informed me that only 2 PSVR 2 games are in development at Sony. Given the state of the games industry with constant layoffs and studio closings, I don't exactly feel confident that even these games will ever see the light of day if Sony continues on its current trajectory. That's the article. So the big thing from this, I suppose, is that they're cutting back on VR and that they say only 2 PSVR 2 games are in development at Sony. Now, I'll remind you that as of right now, I think there's only been 3 first-party releases for the PSVR 2. It's been out for just over, what is it now, a year? A year and a half, something like that, since its launch. Do you want to fact check me on that one, Spence? When did it come out?
February 22nd, 23. So a bit over a year.
Okay, yeah. So it's not too bad. 3 games in its first year, and 2 more currently in development. Now, Spence, I'd love to know your thoughts on this first, a fellow PSVR 2 owner. What do you think about this news?
I mean, it's a bit damning if it is to be true. Because, I mean, to be fair, I can't remember the last time I pulled out my PSVR 2. It's been a hot minute. I'm hardly using it anyway. But to see that there's a lack of games coming for the future, and even the ones that are apparently supposed to be coming might not, that's a bit naff. There's literally like no reason to buy one at the moment. And I'm not surprised this is the way it's gone. Because I think from the 3 we've seen so far, we've got Call of the Mountain, which is, I think that's just had high praise. It's supposed to just be really good. Switchback, which apparently wasn't very good. A bit scary, but I've heard it was a bit naff. And Firewall, which you and I have confirmed is a hot pile of dog shit. So it's not looking very promising for the future. I don't see just Media Molecule are doing fucking nothing. And they've got the creative mind to make a great PSVR 2 game. Why aren't they just doing PSVR 2 or putting Dreams in the PSVR 2 where you could like freely create the world or something like that? I don't understand why this is the case it's gone. I know famously VR succeeds on its third-party releases typically. Because sure, you've got your big hits like Half-Life Alyx, you've got your PSVR 2 semi-big hits, not big hits. 2 of them flopped, 1 of them came with your VR if you bought it bundled. But they could just be doing more. I think this might lean into the fact that they've recently launched an adapter to use PSVR 2 on PC. And now rather than them fueling the fire for PSVR 2, they're just making it work on PC so PC can fuel that fire itself. And now it's one of the best headsets you can get for that. But I don't know. It's just a bit of naff news. It's just not what you want to read, really.
Before I have my thoughts, Phil, over to you.
Sounds like this was written by me, because I'm not a supporter of VR in any shape or form. And it's quite funny to sort of hear, I suppose, you guys going through and stumbling around trying to find out what those games were that came out first party for PlayStation, because I wouldn't have been able to name one of those games outside the Horizon game. But it's not nice to sort of hear that Sony is sort of failing in this area, because ultimately I did have quite high hopes that this might possibly be my first VR headset, and I was waiting and holding out for PlayStation and Sony to come up with something big to entice me into spending the £400-500 to buy that headset. But Spence, you said you can't remember the last time you used a PSVR 2 headset. Davey, I'm assuming the same, unless you're rolling around your room playing Gran Turismo every night. I'm not sure. You're shaking your head, so probably not. So yeah, unfortunately, it's a pretty damning article here, boys, but unfortunately I have to agree with it. There's nothing here for me in that space. But I am hoping that, Davey, you're going to do a bit of a switcheroo here and you've investigated this article a little bit further than maybe that headline alludes to, and you're going to switch it round and tell us some really good facts about PSVR 2.
I am going to do a little bit, not an awful lot, right? I think the thing to bear in mind is that it all depends on what you want this headset for. Like, for me, I bought it knowing that I was going to get some really nice little experiences that I couldn't get on any other device, right? That I would want to invest in. Obviously, I could go to Oculus or whatever, right? But what I mean is that I could get something for my console, that I can have a VR experience, I could kayak down a fucking river and have a great time. And that's exactly what I got from it, right? And for me, I haven't played it as much as I'd like to. And the sole reason is I haven't played anything as much as I'd like to. And my game time this year has dropped off the face of the fucking earth. With everything I've had going on in my personal life, and God, I'm not going to get into that on this podcast, I have not had the time that I had a year ago or 2 years before that. Like, just have not. My son's getting older. I'm in a harder job. I've got a girlfriend to worry about now compared to like a dying marriage. I've got things that I need to do, right? And so it's kind of, I don't have the opportunity that I once did. And I've got a backup, a fucking growing backlog. I never have a backlog of games at the moment that I need to play. And then VR's underneath that. So it's not VR's fault that I haven't been playing. It's not for lack of releases, because there's been some fucking fantastic games that I've wanted to give shine to. But I've just got too much to play at the moment. And VR, unfortunately, has been a victim of that. Now, in terms of the way this article, and this is always what's good about this kind of thing, is that you can interpret things on two different ways, right? So you could say only 2 games coming out from Sony. I'll be honest, that's 2 more than I expected. Because if I was looking at my first-party studios, do I want them to support a system which has a very small, hardcore, dedicated fan base, which is quite satiated with the number of releases that we get on the regular basis? Or do I want to pump that into growing my console sales and to sell X amount of millions? I would pump it into the fucking PlayStation 5 and then put a team on to be able to put a VR mode on top if I wanted to add some extra content to that. That's the way that we've always said about it. Like, why would you want to put that money and invest into a specific game for it when you can just augment it like they've done with the games that can't be mentioned or for Gran Turismo? It makes the perfect sense. So for me, I'm surprised there's actually 2 in development. Like, that's good news for me, because you look at Quest or you look at fucking Valve's version. How many games have they put out specifically for those things? Valve done 1 and just left it, right? They've done no more. So if they've got 5 by year 2, that ain't bad. That's not bad. That's not a bad cadence. Now, is the quality good is another fucking conversation, right? Like, GT is done so fucking well. Horizon's done so fucking well. The rest of them, I can take and leave. But when I look at VR overall, I think what Sony have been doing with with the headset is the smartest fucking play they could ever do, which is get it so that it can be used on PC. Because that's where the proper hardcore VR crowd is. And if you can then get that so that your headset, it could be in that conversation, so it could be used in those places, you're then able to compete with the likes of Oculus or anyone else. And sure, is it as good as that? Probably not. But it's an option. It's at least a contender. And for those like myself, if I manage to somehow retire or win the Maze House draw, right, and I got all the time in the fucking world, I then am able to play the VR to the extent that it deserves to be played. Whereas at the moment, it's not. Now, I've done a little bit of research into the market size for VR because I was not worried, but my thought process originally, before I looked into it, was that the VR market shrinking. Because you hardly hear anyone talk about it. It doesn't get the same shine as anywhere else. And to my surprise, it's actually not. It's growing. So it grew 32% over 2022, which is wild to me. And granted, that's new hardware launched in the PSVR 2 will do that. But it's growing at a cadence of 19.1%, according to all the forecasted data up till 2030. So it's expected to grow every single year now for the next few years, which is surprising because it's an area that I thought would kind of maybe gimmick out and wouldn't run the case it is. I think the big thing that Sony going forward would be wise to do is to probably stop here. I don't think there's, they've tried it now for 2 different headsets. The market hasn't grown to the level that they want it to, whereas I think that same R&D that they put into that would be better spent on a dedicated handheld. And I think that's the more sensible option. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get to PS6 territory and there is no VR, and it's instead a handheld, because I think that's money better spent to recoup here. I think it's been a great experiment. The headset's way better than the first time round, but it hasn't made the splash that they need it to in kind of a mass market capacity. And that doesn't say anything for the fact that the games aren't there or anything like that, because I think they are. I think it's just a case that most consumers don't want to put something on their head. And I kind of get that. It's hot at the moment. I don't want to put it on. Like, it's too hot. I can't imagine playing it now in the middle of summer. It would be fucking awful. So, yeah, I can kind of see this.
I've just pulled up the PlayStation blog, and specifically the article around PlayStation VR having access to the sort of Steam VR library and the adapter coming out on August 7th. And it makes me laugh, and I think it's quite a telling image, because that image is of the PSVR headset, and then on screen you have Half-Life Alyx. Now, I'm not the only one screaming and shouting that that is the game that ultimately, at the moment, you want to play if you have a VR headset. So Sony have done the right thing here and allowed that access to sort of the PC area and Half-Life Alyx. And I think it will be a big seller. I think a lot of people that have the PSVR 2 will shell out, what is it, the $49.99 for that adapter if they have the PC to be able to play it, to be able to play that Half-Life Alyx, because it is a game personally I would love to play, and I still would love to play, but the barrier to entry on VR is just so high. But if you've already got the hardware, I think an extra $49.99, it's a bit of a steal to be able to play the best VR game.
Yeah, I think well said. And I think it's one of those things that I'm definitely going to be buying the adapter for that option. I can run it on my PC, Half-Life Alyx. So why not? Give it a go. Tick it off as one of those like kind of stellar VR experiences like Kayak VR that I keep beating the drum for. The fucking game of games, boys. You should have seen me in Norway when I was kayaking. All that cameras like, you've done this before. I was like, well, I've got 40 hours in Kayak VR, love.
Fuck off, did she say that? Fuck off.
Never.
Ask
Not
her.
a chance.
Never. Never,
You've
mate.
done this
Fuck
before.
off.
You're a natural at this kayak. The instructor was like, do you want to lead the class? And I was like, no, I better not, mate. I'm only good down rapids and races, so I don't want to show off. But it did actually work, mind. I was able to do a sharp turn. I knew exactly how to do it. So, and that was all from Kayak VR. So VR's a nice learning experience. This is why, all these people... I was saying on our reaction video, right, not take it too far off, about how people who buy Microsoft Flight Sim and play it are just fucking losers because you can go do it in real life. Do you know what I did? I went and did kayaking in real life. So all those people that are saying, oh, I'll never get a chance to fly a Boeing, I'll never get to do this, I might as well buy a fucking little rig and all my bollocks. Just fucking get your pilot's license, stop being a dick about it. I'm going back to it. I went out there, put my skills to the test, baby. And if I can do it, so can you. Be a lorry driver. Be a surgeon. Do all these things that you're doing in VR, playing around like a fucking little pussy. Go and do it in real life. Because all those Xbox kids don't know what the fuck they're doing, man. Sitting there flying a 21-hour flight over to fucking Hong Kong. Just fucking get in, fucking get your license, bro. Do it for real.
Surely we're trying to encourage people to buy PSVR 2, right?
Oh, we don't care about how well it sells.
No, I don't give a fuck.
No,
I got my
you've given
games.
up now.
I think,
Okay.
mate, it's just nuts that you're comparing getting in a kayak once to learning how to fly planes and freaking all that nonsense. To become a lorry
Easy,
driver.
mate.
It's a bit more than just getting into a kayak once on holiday.
Mate, I reckon all it is, right? If you're a pilot, you just get in and all you have to do is go, this is your captain. We're preparing for flight. It's going to be a lovely trip here. Not expecting any nice tailwind at the back, so we're going to get there about half hour before schedule. Now sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. Hang out, everyone claps. Way, cheers, Captain. And then all you do is you just press that fucking autopilot button. Done. See you in 21 hours. Just fucking chill. And then just literally get on the thing. This is your captain. I hope you've enjoyed your flight. Everyone sit down, prepare for landing. And then just fucking press the fucking auto land button. Done. Fucking easy, mate. I reckon 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And they're like, yeah, can you speak into a microphone and can you press 2 buttons? Yes. Welcome. Welcome to British Airways. And that's it.
To be fair,
Easy,
to be
mate.
fair, that's pretty difficult. We do a podcast. We're on episode 93, and I don't think any of us have got that right, talking into a microphone and pressing 2 buttons.
No.
It's quite difficult.
Well, to be fair, the captains always have that stutter, so I think they're still learning. They're probably in training. You know, I've never had one that's actually like a really eloquent speaker. Have you? They're too busy trying to find the fucking autopilot button.
So they're doing.
There's a lot of buttons, though, in the cabin, isn't there? So
Loads of
yeah.
buttons, levers, pulleys, twisty things, bro. Nah.
They're not doing any of that, mate. Tell you now, straight on. Just literally just pressing that autopilot button, putting it on Spotify, just fucking chilling out for 21 hours, getting paid fuck all. It's like train drivers as well. I reckon they do exactly the same fucking thing. Get in there, press a button, it just go. And train's even easier because it's on a fucking track, innit? How can you get that wrong? That must be the easiest fucking job in the world. Anyone who's a pilot or a train driver, write in. Let me know what more you do because I don't believe it. Unless the autopilot goes off or the next part next to you dies, like in a movie, and then you got to do some real flying. Maybe that's what they train for. That one time in their entire career, they actually have to press buttons. But I
I suppose there's not a lot to hit up there, is there, when you're flying a plane? It's pretty
No.
easy. Turn
Yeah.
left, turn right. What you've got no obstacles. But at least when you're on a train, you've just got to avoid the people jumping off the bridges.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just plow straight through those, bro. We were on a train before.
And the cows that walk across the train line.
That's what you got to watch out for. They're the real danger. A person, you can plow right through that. It's not even going to slow you down remotely. And a bit counts and you get over it. A cow would fucking, I reckon it would right off. Do you reckon it would right off a train?
It wouldn't
If it
right off
plowed,
a
like-
train. No way.
They're
It'd
big,
damage it.
bro. They're big.
Damage it right off
Like a
the
big cow.
train.
Yeah, big.
No
Like a proper
way.
milk one, you know?
Bro, I've seen trains like split cars in half, and you're thinking a cow is gonna write it off. You know, like
What have
when
you
people,
been seeing?
the 2 freaking barriers like come down, and idiots just get in there thinking they can get through, and they end up just having to leave their car, and their car gets annihilated by that train. But a cow
What, the
ain't
train
doing
doesn't get-
nothing.
It's not, a train's not written off at all from smashing into a car. Surely it is.
I don't think
Surely
it
it
is,
just
mate.
like, they fuck over at that point.
Mate, no, just
This isn't your standard train, though, is it? You know, your Newport to Cardiff kind of train. You're thinking about the ones with the big barrier on the front in the movie, surely.
I
Yeah,
don't
like a
know.
zombie apocalypse movie where they're just ploughing through like
Yeah.
hundreds of people as they go in. Surely that's
Would
not just
they-
like the Great Western Railways line, just ploughing through. I'm sure that a cow would write it off, or a
I
herd.
think it would.
They don't go on their own, do they, cows? So there'd be a herd of cows. That's bound to. I wonder how many cows it would take to write off a train.
Mate, I
That's,
googled it. I googled "can a cow write off a train?" and the first thing it says is "train hits a cow. Who's liable?" It's like it's not the cow, is it?
Act to God. Act to God. He controls everything, doesn't he? So act to God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Free steaks for everyone, mate.
And milk if you put your head out the side. It's all coming past. Just make sure you put your head out at the right point.
Just chucking your bowl of cereal just outside at the perfect time. Yes. It's a bit dry, this.
T-bone steak. Milk for my Frosties.
Oh,
Brilliant. Sounds great.
mate, there's an actual rule they follow. So if a train hits a swan or a large animal, a cow or a horse,
Swan!
yeah, or a cow or a horse, etc., and groups of 3 or more smaller animals like sheep, it just gets reported to a signaler. They don't even slow down or stop. They just hit
Oh,
them.
no way.
They just hit them and report it to a signaler, who then like,
I wonder what the signal is.
yeah,
Fucked, mate. Fucked. That cow.
That's wild. Why would you need to report a swan? I can't imagine. If I hit a swan in my car, it would do nothing to the car. Like, the car would just run through it.
They're owned by the king, mate. You can't kill swans.
True. It says, while there is nothing official, many drivers will also report hitting dogs and other pets due to the obvious risk of owners wandering onto the track to look for or retrieve their pets.
Oh.
So they could murder your dog too, and they'll just tell the signaler, someone's dog's dead.
As long as you haven't got them on a lead.
Fucking.
You're gone, mate, yeah.
Slow down! Oh, it's a train.
Thank God there's a cow blocking the track. This will slow the train down.
And it's a big cow as well.
Oh, fucking hell. How did we get onto that? But anyway, anyone else got any other thoughts on VR, or should we move this on?
Oh, is that what we were talking about?
Yeah. Sorry, totally gone on a mad one there. Let's move it on, shall we? Phil, coming back round to you, right? Coming to you. Final piece.
You got one more, and you've got another round of word association.
We do indeed. Okay, so Phil, let's bring it back round to you then. Word association. Wolverine.
Claws.
Slash.
Animal.
Paws.
Hands.
Legs.
Toes.
Nails.
Fingernails.
Fingernail clippers.
Metal.
Rubber.
I said rubber. Yes.
Oh,
Did you?
he said
No.
rubber.
No.
I said
So
rubber.
he's
in
already
response
said
to
the rubber.
Phil's balloon because I was stressed about
Fuck.
it.
Tying it up 4-4. Shit.
Quick news. And this is the last one of tonight from myself. So I've got a bit of news here in the doc, and it all surrounds Dr. Disrespect, whoever he is. And his own game studio cuts ties with him after investigating a new Twitch ban allegation. Now, Spence, I'm going to probably lean on you heavily when it comes to this news article, because I don't really know too much of who this guy is. He does flick up from my timeline from time to time, and I know he's a streamer who dresses up. He's a character. He's a bit of an Ali G kind of person, isn't he? Where he dons a wig and some sunglasses and portrays a certain side of himself during his streams. But I think this all relates to him talking to a minor in Twitch chat. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that one, Spencer. But yeah, his own game studio is cutting ties with him, so he's losing a lot of money over this. Now, Spence, have you got any more information on this one? Because I'm kind of struggling on this one to even who he is really.
Sure, mate. I mean, I'm not too knowledgeable on Dr. Disrespect. I've never watched him myself. I obviously know who he is, and I used to watch Tim the Tatman quite a lot. I used to watch him for Call of Duty content, and he plays with Dr. Disrespect a lot. They play with them, Courage, Ninja, very top of Twitch streamers. Dr. Disrespect was on the top of his game for a long time. He was massive on Twitch. And yeah, this allegation came out, and everyone kind of hopped on his side, saying, wait for the proof. And then the proof came out like a day later. And he's just, I'm pretty sure no one's pressing charges or anything. It's nothing major. It's just he messaged a 15-year-old on Twitch. So I don't think it's anything too serious. I don't know the exact scale of what happened. I just know that's what happened. But he said he's taking a break from Twitch. His developers obviously cut him off, and a lot of his friends have said they're just cutting him out of their life completely because of this. So I imagine it probably is actually something serious. But I don't know how it's impacting his life because he's married with kids and everything. So fuck knows what's going on there. But all I know about it is his developers cut ties with him, and he's quitting streaming, at least for the time being, because of this.
Wow. When it comes to minors, that connection is terrible. It's probably one of the worst things you could possibly be associated with. So I'm not surprised on this reaction, even if he, had a very, normal conversation with the boy or girl that he was talking to online. But very, very difficult situation. I can imagine he's set to lose a lot of money surrounding this, with YouTube, etc., Twitch income and his own studio getting rid of him. Now, Davey, I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Respect's work, but do you have anything to say on this one?
I got a little bit more of info for you guys. So I never really watched. I don't watch streamers. Like, why do I want to watch somebody else play a game? It's just not for me, really. I just don't really get it. But I do know a little bit more about this. I watched a couple of videos on it. So he was kicked off Twitch back in 2020, right? So 4 years ago, he was kicked off Twitch because there was, and there was no reason given, right? Like, nobody knew what it was. 4 years have gone by. He's been streaming on on Kick and on YouTube, I think it is. Now, what happened is, the reason why this all came out is because a guy who worked at Twitch just came out and was like, yeah, he's just been messaging a minor. And everyone was like, whoa, fuck,
Christ.
okay. And everyone thought, oh, well, yeah, wait for the proof. And then Dr. Disrespect comes out with like a tweet where he was like, yeah, I've never been one to stand behind bullshit, la la la. I was messaging a minor. It's like, oh, fuck, bro, don't say that. Like, don't say that. He's like, yeah, I was messaging a minor. It was inappropriate. I hold my hands up. Nothing illegal was done. Nothing criminal. I'm not like a pedophile or anything like that. And so following that, then YouTube has just cut everything. His channel memberships have been ceased. All his mates have disowned him. The guy's fucking finished, bro. And the only thing that came to my mind is, like, first off, I think a lot of these streamers are just fucking weird anyway. Like, I just don't, I think I'm like part of that generation where it kind of like missed us, Phil. And it was like the generation under us, like Spence's gen maybe, that it kind of got them a little bit more. But I see clips online of like, I show speed or whatever. And I think, why did anyone watch this fucking guy? It's just fucking weird. I just saw him just barking at a dog. And it's like, if I was there, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, just fucking leave the dog alone, you fucking weirdo. Or he's on, like, a boat trip, and he's doing, like, climbing a bridge and then flipping over it. It's like, just fucking sit your ass down. Enjoy the fucking boat ride. Stop being a fucking weirdo. Like, I don't get these people, and it seems to be a thing where whenever they get to, like, this level of, like, Dr. Disrespect, something comes out. It's like with celebrities, right? Always, whenever people get put up to this level, the nonce rate just rises exponentially. Like, the amount of people, you get massive Michael Jackson, flaming nonce. Fucking Ian Watkins, flaming nonce, right? Like, you get to this level and you just, all of a sudden, you just want kids. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And this is something that we'll have to check ourselves as our podcast rises. We'll have to just be on alert for each other. If one of us is getting a bit fucking noncy, we got to pull it before action starts. Because it gets out. And we can't be having that, lads.
Aren't you glad we've only got 240 subscribers? Because
Exactly.
there's no chance of us, any of us going down the nonce route just yet.
Yeah, we don't have the power to be able to get down the nonce route. Apparently, it's something you only unlock at like 100,000. And maybe this is why I haven't uploaded anything on my YouTube for like 50 days now. Maybe this is why I'm stopping myself. I'm putting the brakes on, you know? I'm just like, oh, wait, hold on. I haven't unlocked nonce tier yet. You know, I'm nowhere near there. So, but it's just mad. It's just absolutely mad to me. And I feel sorry for like everyone who, you know, must be, you know, that's kind of associated with him, because it just fucking sucks. But then I also just think, if you're going to handle a nonce situation, right, maybe don't admit to the nonsense. You know, even if you're like, it was just an inappropriate message, they were kids. Like, that's fucked up. Like, nobody normal does that, right? Like, if I had done that, would I admit it? No, I'd go to fucking... I'd take that secret to the fucking grave, bro, and I'd sue everyone who said I did. Like, that's the way that you're supposed to handle it, and everyone would think that you did, but nobody would know. Like Michael Jackson. Nobody knows for sure, but there's a pretty damning documentary about it. And kids who say, yeah, he definitely touched my ass. So, you know, but as long as you don't admit it, they won't come for you. Just don't do that.
And don't take your PC to PC World, because that's how Glitter got caught.
Yeah, never do that.
That's an important one. So, little tip for the future: just fix your own PC.
Is that actually how he got caught?
That's how he got caught. Yeah, took his PC to PC World, full of nonce material.
Wild.
Apparently that's what happens. But do you think you just get to a point in life where you've, tried this and you've tried that, and, the drugs aren't working anymore, the alcohol's not enough, all those banging 10 out of 10 women, nah. And you get to a point and think, what's next? Kids?
I'd think different country, mate. I wouldn't think kids. I'd think, let's go for some ethnic women, not freaking children. It's such a wild jump. I think most of these people aren't nonces to at least begin with. I think when the opportunity presents itself, they become one. And because they're in a position of so many followers and stuff, that's being presented to them quite often.
But I suppose, Spence, we're all born nonces because we all fancy young kids at some stage.
That's after 93 episodes. That right there. That's the wildest thing anyone has ever said.
Not me, mate. Not me. I wasn't.
That's fucking
what?
wild.
So you're saying when you were 15, you didn't fancy 15-year-old girls?
I did, yeah, but
I didn't fancy like a fucking 10-year-old or whatever when I was 15. It was
no,
a hard,
it changes,
hard
mate.
cut.
Even when I was
It's like
when I was like 6, I fancied 30-year-old women, mate. It was like I still saw a film and I'd be like, oh, look at her. I wasn't watching like fucking Scooby Doo or freaking what's a kid like Disney Channel thinking, oh, are these little kids? I was watching freaking what? I don't know what I was watching. Baywatch. Oh,
but no, you're right. It's like normally, as you grow older, what's supposed to happen is that like the younger they get, the fucking weirder it is. Like now, the thought. I mean, I'm 35. The thought of being with someone who's like in their early 20s is like a hard no, right? It's like, nah, like I'm not interested. Like, no way. Like the cutoff now at this point, I don't know, would be about 27, 28 that maybe I'd go to. But you think, no way. Like, no, they just look like a kid. Like, why would you want to, you're not attracted to that. And so I suppose it's like you look at Leonardo DiCaprio. That's fucking weird. He's like 50.
Mate,
We're like,
no.
fucking, as soon as they hit 21,
bro,
binned.
He's beaten the game. Thank you. It's when they hit 25, he bins them off. And he's played the game.
Fucking
weird. He waits till the day they turn 18. And then until they're 25, that's his girl. He plays the game, the nonce game well. He's definitely a nonce. But he plays it in a legal way.
It's just madness to me. Like, I don't know. I think there's just a huge proportion of nonces that maybe that is what it maybe it is the case that you're drunk on your own kind of self-indulged power that you think you have, and that you've got somebody who you can really take advantage of, and they think, oh yeah, I can really just fucking just influence this person more than any other person because they've got a child brain. Maybe that's what it is, and maybe it's just like some weird fucking sick power fantasy thing. But it seems to happen a lot to people in positions of self-put power. I mean, like, disrespect. What the fuck? If you was coming down the street, would I be like, oh my god, it's fucking not disrespect? No. But there's people that obviously would freak out, right? So maybe that's what it is, but fuck situation.
Or maybe it is just that good.
Maybe.
When they say don't take cocaine, and I know people who've taken cocaine and they say it's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe it is that good.
Maybe it's the like forbidden fruit, bro. Maybe.
The thing you're never meant to have.
It's the most forbidden, mate.
There's nothing worse, is there? Like that is literally the worst. That is the lowest of the low. Like I can't think of anything. Like if someone shagged an animal, bad, right? Bad. But
what, that cow is in Dr. Disrespect's chat, is it? There's a train coming, mate, quickly.
Like you think about like when we found out the fucking David Cameron, when he was in uni, put his dick in a dead pig's mouth, right? And did he lose his seat as a politician? No. He got the piss ripped out of him, but he didn't lose a seat. Whereas if he had put his dick in a dead kid's mouth, he's gone, bro.
Wow.
He's gone.
We've got a title for the show.
Everyone's born a nonce. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I think
That's not getting
I think-
clicks, man. That ain't our title. That's getting no attention. That's crazy.
Well, you do grow out of it, though, don't you? Grow out of it. 16. You're meant to,
God.
anyway.
Dear God, let's bring this to a close, shall we? Quick news. Jesus Christ. Do you want to know the scores? Do you know where we're at?
Yeah, let's do a roundup of the scores. What's the scores on the board, please?
So the scores are myself 4, Phil 1, Spence 4. So by my logic, Spence, it means that you and me both have a shot added to the dock, which will go on for episode 100.
That's fine.
And with that, let's move on to topic of the show. Stop! Topic time! And here we are with the topic, and today's topic is a listener question. So the homie Maloon has written in, and no, just because he gave us a free pass for Concord doesn't mean he gets special treatment. But you do, baby. You do. Anytime you write in, I'll try and include it. Maloon's written in, and he asks us, when you look at PlayStation's portfolio of games, there is quite a lot of genre variety now. Are there any genres or subgenres you still want/hope from them? He said, personally, I need a 2D platformer like a Rayman Legends or something. Very nice. Very nice suggestion. Something we certainly don't have enough of is a 2D platformer. It's a very good one. But Phil, I'm going to come to you first on this one. What would you want to see in terms of a genre or subgenre from PlayStation themselves?
Sure, and it's quite a difficult one because when I think of the games that I want generally from PlayStation, it is those sort of AAA experiences. But when I was thinking about games that I actually want and I play from time to time, it's side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and I think it would be a little bit of a waste if Sony was going to create a side-scrolling beat-em-up. But there are some classics of the past that if they could get hold of that IP, it would be tremendously popular. And I think they could do a relatively good job with some of the games that I maybe will be mentioning right now. So going back to the back catalogue of old side-scrolling beat-em-ups, you know, the likes of Golden Axe and Streets of Rage, of course, those are the ones everyone sort of gravitates to first because those are the games of your childhood, you know. Altered Beast, Maximum Carnage, games like that. They were classics of the day, and they stand strong, and they stand strong in my memory because those were the types of games I grew up on and loved. Now, we've had a new wave recently of side-scrolling beat-em-ups that has been very popular. We've had the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, which, of course, we all played, and I think both of you boys platinum. That was very, very good. We had Double Dragon recently, Final Vendetta recently. Those games I've all bought, and they're all queued up, ready for the portal, because I think they're perfect experiences to be able to play. No latency, who really cares? You just walk along, punch, kick, and fight, and just enjoy a bit of story, and usually it's accompanied with a banging soundtrack. And we've also had the announcement of Power Rangers coming soon, and that looks absolutely epic. That's more akin, I suppose, to an arcade fighter of something like Simpsons Arcade or something like that of the past. Used to play that down in the Newport Arcade, Spencer, down by you. Used to really enjoy going down there, put 50p in the machine, and play all day as Marge Simpson. With the what was it, vacuum cleaner she had. I don't know why I end up as Marge, but I always seem to. But I think if PlayStation could find that IP, I don't know what it would be. Maybe it's like a PlayStation All-Stars kind of situation. Instead of a fighting game, we've got a side-scrolling beat-em-up where we could go to areas of PlayStation's history in the past, and maybe you could take Sackboy, you could take, you know, Astrobot, you could take Nathan Drake along for the ride, and you'd have a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It would have that hint of nostalgia, a bit like a kart racer, a bit like, as I've said, the fighting game PlayStation All-Stars. This would be another one of those kind of games, little games, micro games that would fit into that sort of area, and I think it would prove relatively popular. And I know myself, I would absolutely love.
I really like it, mate. Yeah, I think it'd be great. And like you say, the IP is always the tricky one, especially for something like that. Like, you think all the best, you know, kind of side-scrolling ones, apart from Streets of Rage, are all generally IP, right? Like, you know, Power Rangers, TMNT, the X-Men one, things like the Spider-Man ones. They're all carried by that.
The Punisher.
Like the Punisher. Yeah, Punisher, of course. That's the GOAT.
Everyone's favourite, man.
Yeah, everyone's favourite game from the collection. So that would be a bit of a tricky one, but fuck. I mean, I love those games. So a new one done first party, hell, sign me up, man. I reckon that'd be a great choice. Really good one. What do you think about that one, Spence?
I mean, fucking yeah, sign me up, mate. I love side-scrolling beat 'em ups. I've got like 2 emulator discs that I made ages ago because I used to just give them around to my mates, and they just were chock full of fucking beat 'em ups. I mean, my brother played through all of them. It was fucking fantastic. And I mean, I'm not sure if I'd want to see a Sony one. I mean, I could imagine I'd like to see maybe like a God of War one where you're Kratos, Atreus, Freya, and all that going through and just beating up goons or whatever you're beating up. You get to Thor at the end, and then actually you get to Odin. That'd be quite sick, and the art style could be really cute. But are they gonna do it? Oh, absolutely not a fucking fat chance. But I think we're in quite a good place for side-scrolling beat 'em ups at the moment. Anyway, granted, Sony's obviously not making them, but like you said, we've got the Power Rangers one coming out. We've got Double Dragon 4. We've got freaking Shredder's Revenge. Punisher's coming hot on our fucking plate soon, and we've got no choice but to own that because we need to own it to own Marvel 2. So we're definitely playing Punisher at some point, lads. I think it's a good shout. I'd love to see it, but the options are there if they don't.
Gotta agree. I think there's zero chance. And this is why I sort of welcomed that sort of question, because it gave me a chance to sort of put a hypothetical out there because, yeah, I agree. We've got zero chance of this ever happening for Sony first party to be creating a side-scroller beat 'em up. But hey, stranger things had happened, and I'll put the hope out there. Let's see what happens.
Hell yeah, love to see it. Spence, what about yourself? What kind of genre or subgenre do you still want/hope from them?
Okay, well, Phil, you kind of made a little nod towards what I want. Fucking platform fighter, mate. Give us another PlayStation All-Stars, but just do it good. They know it didn't work last time with the stupid you need to spend a super to kill your enemies, and they have to be over 100% or whatever, otherwise they won't die. It's like, come on, man. Just make normal blast zones, ledges. You know, you got to actually recover. You have recovery moves. And fucking make a PlayStation fighting game. Even if they have to, like, not use IP. If they just put a studio on there and they create original characters and make it a new series, brilliant. Like Rivals of Aether. That's doing phenomenally well at the minute as well, with Rivals of Aether 2 coming out soon. Do something like that. And if they can get all the licenses and everyone involved, fucking way better. But just do something with that genre, because that genre is a really competitive space and a lot of people are really shit at it. It's only Smash that has really smashed out the park, and Dan Furness with Rivals 2. No one else has done it really that well, including Sony. You screwed the fucking pooch. So try again. Fuck it, just try again. You can. Maybe don't put Fat Princess in there this time. Someone else. You've got so much more IP you can do, and it could be fucking fantastic. That's what I want. Or just bring Rivals of Aether 2 to PlayStation. That works too. But I'd like to see a Sony one.
Do you know how long it's been since PlayStation All-Stars came out, Spence? Put you on the spot.
If I had to guess, it's either like 2011, 2013.
Oh, good guess. Somewhere in between. 2012 it came out. So we are due for another PlayStation All-Stars, and I always see it come up on timeline. Probably just the people I sort of follow, which is primarily PlayStation and Smash crowds on my Twitter, but I see it come up all the time where people theorizing what they would like to see and what characters and what IP they would like to see within PlayStation All-Stars 2. Now I'm going to put it out to you, Spence. Which one would you want? What character would you want included within number 2 if they were going to do it?
As in like a PlayStation character, not like a guest character like Smash do.
Yeah, PlayStation. New character from PlayStation. Of course, we've had quite a lot of new IP since 2012. So you've got a wealth of characters to choose from. I know who mine would be. It's pretty obvious.
I think I'd like Celine from Returnal. I think her movement would be nuts. She could dash across the thing. And if they somehow implemented the like dash jump cancel, the dash melee jump, and that was somehow like a tech in the game, oh my god, it would be nuts. But ultimately, she will be a lame-ass character. It will just be running away and shooting. But she could be cool. She could have all the different weapons as it moves. Oh, mate, yeah, that's exactly what I want to see. And her alternate costumes and shit would be fucking fire. Give me Celine.
Dude, Celine would slap tits, man. That is such a great shout. Like, and all the different weapons that you could have. And you could just like level, you know, like Steve does, where you can like mine, but you could do stuff to like power yourself up as you go, so you get like better weapons. So instead of just like the normal shotgun, you then get it so it blasts out, maybe there's fire on the end or whatever it is, right? Like, oh man, that'd be sick. Should be so good. That's laser sword, bro. Oh yeah. Fucking sign me up.
Now, for me, it's got to be Sam Porter Bridges. Now, I know he's not known for his combat,
What's he
but
gonna do?
he could have something special where he sort of powers up depending on how many boxes that he finds around the map and sort of loads it into his backpack, and maybe has some sort of final smash if he's able to load it up to the sort of maximum level. It would be that impending doom that you would see him scurrying around the map, picking up the boxes, and you're like, oh, he's on box 8. Oh shit, he's on box 9, don't go near him. A bit like Lucario is in Smash. As soon as he's getting towards that 200%, you're like, shit, I can't get near him, because if he lands a punch, I'm going straight out. Sam Porter Bridges would be my choice, and hopefully he would play like that.
Oh mate, you could just imagine his grab already. His grab would be that bowler gun. So it'd have like a distance grab. Like that would be class. And then he could just come on and do like, he can hold people up like Snake can, like a bit of CQC. Like, you could do that, slam them down to the ground. That's a good fucking barrier, meteor move. And just do that on the edge of the stage. Done. Like, boom. Oh, I just got fucking bowler whipped on the edge. No, he's coming. Ooh, out. Yeah, that would be sick, bro. Both your suggestions are kick-ass. I mean, mine's really fucking basic bitch to you here. But I'm going to go for... Oh, should I go the basic? The basic one would be Aloy, right? And Aloy would just work really well. That's the basic one. The dream is fucking Bloodborne Hunter. Ooh. That's the fucking dream. And then you got all the different weapons. You could have that whirligig saw. You could have those twin blades that the Crow Woman has. Like, all these different tools that you can use. You could have the fucking bow, the fucking blunderbuss thing. You could have a counter, which is based on that. So they go to hit you and you fire the blunderbuss straight away to get a counter opportunity. Oh, it just writes itself. There's so many options there for Bloodborne Hunter, and the costumes that you could have would be so nice. You could scroll through. Fans would pop off as well to see that, and it's an IP that PlayStation own, so it would be able to fit in here without having to ask FromSoft for their approval. So that's even more fuel to the fire of being allowed in here.
I will say I've got one more character. It's not PlayStation, but I kind of. Sifu. Or at least the main fella from Sifu. It's not a PlayStation game, but it was like PlayStation and Epic it launched on. And like nothing else. So I don't know. It probably definitely doesn't count, but he could be a guest character. Sifu, bro, is fighting. Imagine you start hitting people and he's got like fighting game combos. Or some bullshit. You can just fucking zero to death people. Or you pick up weapons like he does in the game. You just fucking lamp him around the fucking head with it. He could have some nut stuff. He'd play like a Shoto or something in Smash. It'd be cool as hell.
That would be cool. That would be fucking cool. I'd vibe with that. Surprised no one's mentioned Astrobot. Getting him in there would be cool. His laser fucking legs, bro. Like, that would be annoying as piss. You're trying to get him and he's just jumping all around the screen, fucking laser legs underneath him. Dude. Or he could do like a fast fall like burn with the lasers into a combo. Oh, getting the pummels on, little boxing gloves out. That'd be nice.
Davey, with your basic bitch choice of Aloy, is that Horizon 1 or Horizon 2?
Horizon 2, she's got access to more weapons, but they're all worse. So I'd like to go Aloy on 2, because then she's got those claws, those claw things that you throw and you catch, those discus. Yeah, that would be quite cool. Like, have that as like a neutral B, if we're talking Smash terminology, and you can throw it and then you press it once it comes back and then it powers it back up. So the next throw is like even more powerful. That would be nice. Like, there's some cool shit you could do. I think like the difference now for a platform fighter compared to back on PS3 is that PS3, sure, there was some awesome franchises, Twisted Metal, stuff like that, but most things the PlayStation was known for was the stuff that wasn't in-house back on PS1. So like, Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, like all these, Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot. Well, Crash Bandicoot was in-house at the time. Anyway, the point is that you got all these characters that they didn't have rights to, and it was a little bit hard, whereas now, I'd say that the PS5 and PS4 generation, there are awesome guest characters you could get in. Like, you'd expect to see Cloud, you'd expect to see Solid Snake, you'd expect to see Lara Croft, Crash, Spyro, all these from the fucking guest characters. But you've got enough here. You got like Jin from fucking Ghost of Tsushima. You could have him in there. You could have like the Killzone guys coming back. You know, there's so many fucking cool characters we got internally now with IPs that have been built up that you could do some really kick-ass stuff with them. And I think we got a bigger spread of kind of first-party IP characters to choose from now than we probably ever have. But you need the guest there to really feel it out. I think nobody would be happy Crash not being there. You know, like he has to be there. So does Spyro, so does Lara, so does Cloud and Snake. They just have to be there. And that's kind of why the first one failed so badly, apart from the fact that, as you said, Spence, and rightly so, it just didn't copy Smash enough. Like, it needs to copy Smash, and if they did that and just copy it, fucking Smash is the best. Just copy what works and do it with your IP. I'd be over the moon with it, mate, and that'd be a fucking day one purchase for me, hands down it would.
I think the thing is, as well, not to stay on this for too much longer, sorry lads, but it's not strictly like PlayStation IP. Like, the original game had Raiden from Metal Gear Rising. It had Isaac Clarke, Dead Space. It had
Dante.
fucking Dante, Devil May Cry. It could be anyone. It could be anyone, really. They're probably
Big
closely
Daddy?
in partnership with.
Did it have Big Daddy
Yeah, Big
in
Daddy
it?
was
Yeah,
in it.
Big
Yeah,
Daddy.
yeah, from
Yeah.
Bioshock, yeah.
Yeah, it could be, mate. If they bring out a new PS All Stars, it could be jam fucking packed with characters. Fuck.
And it could have a side-scrolling beat-em-up level.
Why not?
And both of our dreams have come true. Combine the
Sounds
games. Davey, what are you going to fill this trifecta with?
Well, mine was going to be a platform fighter, same as Spence's. So I've got a backup, though. And my backup, I've kind of just gone down the Nintendo well here, right? Nintendo have great franchises. They got Mario Kart. We used to have Mod Nation Races. We used to have Crash Team Racing. We used to have all these things. Don't have any of those anymore. And sure, I could play Disney Kart or any of that bollocks. I'd like to have a fucking Sony karting game. They're always fun. Like, they're always fun. And they're hardly ever done badly. Mod Nation Races kicked ass. So if it was up to me, I would bring back Mod Nation Races. Because it was kind of like the Little Big Planet, but a karting game. And it was class. It was really good fun for that franchise. But I'm happy just having a PlayStation IP kart. I don't know what you'd call it. Just, I don't know. I don't even know what it'd be called. PS karting or something. And yeah, just to be able just to have, I know, it was 2 seconds on the spot thing, and just have all the IPs in there, because that would just be fun. You know, you're cruising around. Bloodborne Hunter could be on a fucking, I guess he'd be on a cool ass motorbike, I imagine, even though it made no sense. It would still kind of suit, and it would be kind of cool.
Well, they could do. Do you not know about Bloodborne Kart?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, they could tie into that, mate. There's a whole Bloodborne racing game, fam. They could tie into that easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think like some of the cool karts that you could have, like Kratos could be on a fucking chariot going back to his Greek days. That'd be fucking cool. Like fiery rains as he goes with like a horse going. That'd be sick. Like there's cool ass things you could do. Fucking what's it? Sam Porter Bridges could be on like one of those little fucking buggy things, or like on his speed bike. I reckon
Ellie could be on a horse.
Yeah,
Could be on a horse.
Yeah. Look out for those trains.
Aloy could be on a claw strider, going along those velociraptors that she rides.
That would be sick.
That would be fucking cool. I think there's so many cool things that you could do here with like travel. Cloud could obviously be on a motorbike. Get him in there.
He'd be on a chocobo, mate.
Snake should be on a cart, right? Which is like when you go to IKEA and you got those pallet things. It's just one of those with a box on it, and he's sitting on the box. That'd be class. That'd be like fucking awesome. And he's just going along. That'd be sick. It wouldn't make sense, but it'd be fucking cool. I'd enjoy it.
We could also have Genesis from Destruction All Stars. That famous character from Destruction All Stars. That could feature. They've already got cars.
Oh god, I forgot that was like a car destruction game, wasn't it? Thank god it wasn't karting. But yes, yeah, I forgot they did that. God, I hate that game. That game sucks ass. That game's fucking tragic.
Or Blue Fang? Yeah. Blue Fang? I am Googling these as I'm saying them. I don't know them.
Yeah,
No.
Box Top? You know, famous PlayStation characters?
Box Top.
The one with the box on his head.
Oh,
Box Top.
I remember him.
Yeah.
I loved him.
His class. Bring back Box Top, bro.
He was my main, bro.
He'd be an unlockable character. Get him in. You know, you got to do like all the races on hard, get all the different cups. Get the God of War Cup, get the Aloy Cup. The Aloy can't, fight underwater cup. All these different things. And And then you finally unlock Box Top. Hey. Ooh. Box Top. Yay. But with that, Maloon, I think that answers your question. Those are our games that we want. Will they ever come out? Will they ever come to fruition? Hopefully, the Platform Fighter. Hope to God. Pray to your gods. That is up there with Resistance for me in terms of the franchise I want to come back. Oh my God, I would love that so much. Let us know what you think, though. Have you got any games or subgenres that you want to see return? Let us know. Write into the email pswetrust@gmail.com or hit us up on any of our socials, which are all listed in the description of the show, no matter where you are listening to. And that brings us to the end of episode 93. It's been a big old show. We got into some fucking nuts shit today. Cows hitting rail lines, everyone being a nonce. There's been some fucking absolute creating my nuts dreams of my girlfriend getting gangbanged while I'm not enjoying myself. It's been a wild ride today. It really has. If you've enjoyed the show, the best way to show your support to us is, of course, to like it on whichever place you are listening to. If you're on Spotify, make sure to put a rating on there. 5 stars goes a long way for us. If you listen to Apple Music, wherever the fuck else you get it, same kind of deal. Just support us on there. It really does help, and it means the world to us. If you're watching on YouTube, then hi. I hope you've enjoyed seeing our beautiful faces as we've gone through this episode with you. If you have, then put a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and please just leave us a comment with whatever you want us to talk about, or if you've got any questions to submit for the next episode. We do respond on there as well. Now, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. But I think it's time we say our goodbyes. I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been your king.
Take care, guys.
Peace out.
Oh, not the normal peace.
I know, yeah. Threw me off then as well.
I try it's different every time.
Oof, spicing it up. Spicing it up. Peace. In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavy, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.